Chapter 5:14. Put him on the ground. Yun Jyoga quickly told Aze to lay Ah Fei down. Then, he took out the lightning fire needle to stop the bleeding and examined him carefully. "What's wrong?" Zishang asked. "We found the base of the knolls. We wanted to sneak in to check out the situation, but we didn't expect them to have the Naga's repeating crossbow. When we ran out, Hoodlum was injured by them." Ash blamed himself. If he had been more alert, Hoodlum would not have been injured. "It's fine. There's no poison in the arrow. Just go back and rest." Yun Jyoga was relieved after examining Ah Fei. "Aze, take Ah Fei back." "Aze and Strategist, take us to the Knoll's camp," Zishang said. Aze didn't want to do this, but he didn't dare disobey Zishang's orders. He could only carry Ah Fei away. "Aze, how are you? Do you want to rest before going?" Yun Jyoga saw that Aze didn't look too well. "I'm not tired, but the Knolls just discovered us. If we go now, they'll be on their guard." Aze frowned. "Don't worry about that. Send us somewhere nearby, and we'll find a way in," Zishang said. "Okay, we'll send you there." Aze and Strategist took Yun Jyoga and Zishang east. The ground was scorched black along the way. The stench of death was very strong. It was a barren land. There were no orcs living here anymore. Why were the Knolls still living here? Weren't they afraid of the stench of death? Even if they weren't, where would they find food? Yun Jyoga thought it was strange, but he couldn't ask Zishang while flying. He could only ask when he landed. "We're ready. Fly low so they don't find us," Aze said, lowering his body. Zishang let go and landed on the ground. He shouted to Yun Jyoga, "Jump." Yun Jyoga jumped into his arms. "Another mile and we'll reach the Knoll's camp," Aze said after landing. Chapter 5:27. "We can go there ourselves." The spirit stone that Yun Jyoga threw fell to the ground silently. Zishang waved his hand. The 9 nether shifting illusion was activated instantly. "Elder Bai told us to stay by your side and enveloped Aunt Gaga and the other Strategist shook his head. The military advisor opened his eyes wide. Zishang did not explain much and sent the military advisor back with field of vision was completely dark. The military counselor was in a dilemma. What's going on? He did not dare to disobey Zishang's turned around to ask Yun Jyoga, but he was also afraid that he would be scolded by the elders when he returned. Her pupils flickered with a faint golden light as she stared unblinkingly at the beastmen inside the formation. "I have something more important that I need you to do. Take a look." Yun Jyoga was much gentler than Zishang. Only by breaking free can they awaken the golden light. Hurriedly. Yun Jyoga leaving with the military advisor and leaving dejectedly were two completely different concepts. The military advisor calmed down and took a closer look. About us building the city. The black fog was swaying wildly. If everything goes well, as if someone was trying to break free, will be able to reunite in the new city tonight. Yun Jyoga could see more clearly than the military advisor. Said earnestly to the military counselor, struggling in the illusion. People are very Unfortunately, the power of the illusion was as you love us. Soon, don't worry, two Naga females fainted and physical exhaustion and were automatically ejected from the illusion this morning. This was dark skin and dangerous. Yun Jyoga had slender figure with fully explosive power. It was a good time for him to go and take a look at the situation ejected from the illusion. Yun Jyoga scrutinizing, and he did not interrupt from the beginning to end. His attitude was that physical strength and vitality are also important conditions for a military counselor, and she doesn't like farewell. And Gaga was the strongest among the 10 beasts stronger than the bull-headed he was just the youngest. Personality was after the time it took for an instant to your chief did not send them here. Bring them back because I wanted to keep them as the guards were going to expand. Said mysteriously. She seemed like she was just suspect that there are spies around us. You don't have to talk much to be the military advisor felt that Yun Jyoga was wasting time. They could be controlled by the military counselor and said, "Have you not opened what I asked you to do? Check all the beastmen. There's no relationship between you and Gaga." The illusion. It would be great if there were the military counselor calculated them and began to explain to Yun Jyoga and Zishang ran as Gaga and the others soon. They arrived at a only had collateral centaurs and bullheads used for person's strong and the redness was unbearable. If even they could not endure to try, it meant that the military counselor asked the tribe was in the center of the grass. Like she still had to find them surely to know how to live. The few of you guards built requirements, Yun Jyoga turned and walked, and it was obvious that they were holding the military easier to achieve results. There was not any others in the surroundings. The military counselor showed his instructions and Fei could not help in a go down to investigate. Come here. Look at Yun Joga sat around. Something doesn't for us to dungeon right into the Joga military council saw that all the eyesight was much better than the military councilor walked in. He could gather many figures in the grass with a sweep of his eyes. Remained motionless, but she was being stoned into the dungeon. Voice. The was really strange illusion was officially activated. The rabbits. Yun Joga thought for a moment, stared at the gnolls in the grass. Out his divine sense into Aunt Gaga's illusion. Yun Joga lowered her body even more. Aunt Gaga's divine sense, it was a barren like the wind and kicked the gnoll had dried away. The plants were all dead, like a cannonball that had gone out of control. The tribe were everywhere. It flew in circles. They were all crushed countless weeds, and their faces were full of despair. The gnolls all seemed like they had starved to death. They raised their bows and charged was filled with sorrow and despair. Moved like a bolt of lightning, oppressive that it made it hard for people to breathe. Him flying. Yun Joga looked around for Aunt Gaga and finally found her on the land where the Naga opportunity to run toward the straw sheds. Her thin brown snake tail was coiled on the ground. She did not open the door and rush in. Her body was hunched, she poked a hole in the straw sheds and peeked as if she was guarding something. She saw a huge metal cage floated over and saw that the unconscious rabbit men were stuffed white snake eggs in her arms, which were covered with a thin layer of dry fried gaga grass that their hands and feet were exposed outside the colors clashed. Fortunately, they were placed vertically. Aunt Gaga's old face was so thin that it was out of shape. Men would have suffocated to death. Her eyes were deep and turbid, but they were looking at the snake eggs. She did not find any danger in the straw sheds, as if she firmly believed that these eggs would survive. Opened the door and slipped out. Yun Joga fixed his eyes on the snake eggs and Gaga to release the rabbit Gaga when she felt a dangerous aura behind her. An idea came to him, she instinctively leaned forward. The 9 nether arrow reversal formation rotated, creating and the black fog turned into white fog. Yun Joga turned around and saw a tall gnoll standing in front of her with a cross sound of breaking. This gnoll, a little Naga the size of an index finger, tried its best to come out of the shell, and his muscles were as strong. Head was covered with a white eggshell, and its eyes were gray, and its clear yellow were slow. It was obvious that it was being showed a kind smile. Yun Joga opened her spiritual eye and saw that the gnoll's head and neck had been taken over by the gray light, and the spring water gushed out than Aunt Gaga of the Naga tribe. What did Nangon do to this gnoll? And he quickly stood up and rushed into the formation. Questions surfaced. Military counselor also rushed in. Unfortunately, she did not have time to think. What happened? The gnoll had already thrown away the crossbow and pounced toward her. As soon as she released the golden light, as a spring. Yun Joga did not have time to answer her military counselor's question. He took out the Thunderfire needle and quickly inserted it into the gnoll leader's claws were unavoidable. All the golden light could only use his divine power to tie him up with his moon like flowing water. And unexpectedly, Aunt Gaga's head leader struggled wildly and vanishing into thin straw shed away. Aunt Gaga succeeded everywhere in the collapsed straw shed, and most of them fell onto the enthusiasm. The gnolls who were fighting Zishang heard the commotion and all turned to run toward the straw shed. I'm not sure yet. Rows of crossbow bolts to the room above to rest, and many of them stabbed into the iron cage. Many rabbit men were injured in an mystery of awakening the golden light, but there were still some things that he needed to verify. Let us out. Miss Yun, let me try. The entire iron cage kept shaking, and more rabbit men were injured. Calm down. Yun Joga shouted at the rabbit men as he tried to control the gnoll leader. Wait to release the golden light were released in this crazy state. I have my own plans for this. They would only die faster. You just need to listen to my commands now. Yun Joga could understand military counselor's feelings. Then he twisted his body and slithered to military counselor's golden light, breaking the tall went out of control like Aze. The tall gnoll fell to the ground. But even though his limbs were broken, he still military counselor didn't want to leave a bad impression of Yun Joga. A cold light so he flashed in Zishang's eyes. He was about to twist his head left, but Yun Joga let Little Blossom and Big Ear out and controlled them by the demonic chi. Miss Yun, he can't do anything. Little Blossom looked at the dim underground. He couldn't tell where he was. Took out a Thunderfire needle and stabbed it at the gnoll's temple. May I ask if my people have migrated over? Zishang used the straw rope to tie up all the gnolls. Voice before opening his eyes. Yun Joga checked them one by one. I've already found that their heads had all turned gray. They should arrive in spreading downward. I let you guys out because I have something to ask you. Zishang could also see that before you were turned into puppets by the magical stones, and your consciousness was sealed. Their heads are completely occupied by the demonic chi. Thinking about what? Little Blossom smiled bitterly. After the sea of consciousness what would happen to my people if I died. Even if the demonic chi was left the tribe leader's only an empty shell would be left. What about you? These are the gnolls looked at Big Ear. I just want to go back alive and take them far away from the divine messenger bolts to Yun Joga. As
Yun
expected,
Joga looked carefully.
Big Ear and Little Blossom's words confirmed his
very
guess.
similar to the
It
Nagas,
was the power of the
except for
guardian
the
that
arrows
awakened them.
The arrowheads of the Naga tribe
did you
were
let us
coated
out
because
with
you found a way to
while
get
the
rid of the
arrowheads of the
demonic
Knoll
chi?
tribe were gray
Little
and
Blossom
ordinary.
asked hopefully.
Just as Yun Joga was about to study the arrowhead, he heard the hysterical shouts of the rabbit people behind him.
Chapter 5:28.
Let me out.
Not yet.
The
Yun
demonic
Joga
energy
turned
around
around
helplessly
helplessly
and said to the rabbit men
It'll
who
take
had
a
bent
long
the
time
iron
to get rid
cages,
of it.
I can let you
Yun
out,
Joga
but you have
felt
to
that the
calm
most
down
important
first. thing now was to
For you,
find a way
a
to
voice
awaken
that had
the golden
experienced
light for the
the
vicissitudes of life.
It's
yet
okay,
did
we
not
can
lose
wait.
its calm was heard.
Little Blossom
Yun
was a little
Joga looked
disappointed,
over and
but
saw
there was
a
hope as long
long-like
as they were
little
alive.
rabbit in the middle
I
of the
can't let
iron
you out
cage.
yet.
I'll
Her
let
red
you see your
eyes were
people when they
filled
come
with
back.
vicissitudes of
Just
life,
bear with
and
it.
she was staring
Yun
at her.
Joga extinguished
Yun
the
Joga
golden light on
inexplicably
Little
felt
Blossom
that this
and Big
rabbit
Ear.
person was
He put them
extraordinary,
back into the
so he
spirit
said to
beast
her,
bag and
"My
left
name
the
is
dungeon.
Yun Joga.
As soon
Your
as she reached the
clansman
surface,
asked me to save
she
you.
saw Zishang
I
leaning
am the
against the
leader
door
of the rabbit race."
He looked at her with
I
a smirk.
promise that they won't
Didn't
do
you say
anything
that
rash.
you can't experiment
Please let
until
us
you're
out.
sure? The
Why are you
leader of the
messing
lowly
around now?
race said in a low voice.
Who said I'm messing around?
She was strangely
I have
convincing.
evidence. Are
Zheng
you the
Lai,
clan leader?
Have you completed your
Yun
mission?
Joga remembered
Yun
that
Joga
Go
asked,
or had been calling
Of
the
course,
clan leader
all the
grandma
tribes
before.
that the Eagle Men can
You can't
find
tell,
are
right?
migrating to
The
Cloud
leader
City.
of the lowly
Yin
race
Shirley
laughed, but
and
did not
Fei
explain
have to
anything.
hurry.
It
Or else
seemed
there
like
won't
this
be
was a
enough people to
special
live in.
disguise technique of the
Zishang
rabbit
had
race.
used many methods to
Indeed,
complete
I
his
can't
mission
tell.
quickly.
I will let you out
Fortunately,
now.
it was
I
very
hope you won't run
effective.
around. How
Yun
many
Joga
tribes did you
opened
bring
the
back?
iron cage.
Yun
The
Joga
rabbit
asked
people
in
did
shock.
not run around crazily.
Not many, just
The
10
conscious
tribes.
rabbit people
About
who walked
2,000
out pulled out
people.
the arrows from
If
their
he could
bodies
use his
and
demon
threw them on
power,
the ground.
he could have brought
Then
them over with
they
one
began to
heaven
take care
and
of their
shift.
unconscious
They wouldn't
clansmen.
have to go through
Yun
so
Joga
much
wanted
trouble
to help the
migrate.
rabbit people examine them.
Nangong Yu and
However,
Chosen
the
aren't
rabbit
doing
people
anything.
looked at her with
Yun
wary
Joga
eyes.
found it strange.
Clearly,
Those
they had
two
not
weren't
let
easy
down
to
their
deal
guard.
with.
They
I am a
probably
spirit
want to
doctor.
kill us all.
Only
So you
I
have
can
to
cure
hurry.
your poison.
The beast
Yun
men
Joga
must
said to
awaken
the
as
leader
soon
of
as
the rabbit
possible.
people.
Otherwise,
Then please help
they'll
me take
be
a
faced
look.
with a disaster.
The leader of the rabbit
Zishang's
people
expression
trusted
turned
Yun Joga.
serious.
Clan
They didn't
leader.
have much time left.
The other rabbit people
Don't
were
worry,
unwilling.
I already
The
know
leader
the real
of the
way
rabbit
to
people
awaken
waved
the
her
beastmen.
hand and took the
Yun
initiative
Joga
to
told
walk
him about
towards
Aunt
Brother
Gaga.
Yunjio. What
Yun
gives them
Joga
power
reached out
isn't
to
take the
pain,
pulse of
but
the
hope.
leader and found that
Only
their
beast men
meridians
with
had
a
been
desire
sealed
to
by a
protect
special
can
poison.
awaken.
However,
Then what are you
this
waiting
poison
for?
was very light.
If the illusion
it could
isn't
be
enough,
dispelled
I can
without
help.
using divine power.
Setting up a formation
Clan
was
leader,
a piece of
I will
cake
be
for
inserting
Zishang.
needles into your body
No,
to force
I'm
the
still
poison
waiting
out.
for a conclusion.
I hope you won't be nervous.
Yun Joga shook his head.
Yun Joga took
Awakening
out
the
the
golden
lightning
light
fire and
was
said
no
to the
small
leader of
matter.
the rabbit people.
It couldn't be rushed.
No, who knows
What
if your
conclusion
needles
are you waiting
poisonous?
for?
Before
Zishang
the
felt
leader
that
of the
Yun
rabbit
Joga was
people
being
could say
too
anything.
cautious.
A
There
male
were
rabbit
so many
people
beast
suddenly
men,
jumped out
and
to
being
stop
able
her.
to awaken
This
one out of
male
100
rabbit was
people
already
was
a
very
good deal.
tall and handsome.
This conclusion
Other than
is
his
very
white hair
important.
and red eyes,
I can't
he was
explain
no
it to you.
different from a human.
Come with me.
Yun Joga
Don't be
pulled
rude.
Zishang's
Sat
hand
down
and led him to the
Although the
resting
leader
area
of the
next to
rabbit
the
people
prison
looked
cell.
like a lowly
Military
she was
counselor
very
and Meng
dignified.
were standing in front
She
of
stopped
Aunt
Demeng's
Gaga's
rude
bed.
actions with a
When
glance.
they saw Yun Joga
Unwillingly,
and Zishang
Demeng
coming in,
retreated.
they hurried
Miss
over to
Yun,
welcome them.
Can the poison be
How is
cured
Aunt Gaga?
immediately after
Yun
the
Joga
acupuncture?
asked.
The
He
leader
hasn't
of the
woken up
rabbit
yet.
people asked
The
cautiously.
military counselor
If
shook
it goes
his head.
smoothly, it
Yun
will be
Joga
cured
opened
immediately.
his spirit eye and looked
Yun
at Aunt
Joga
Gaga's
nodded.
knowledge. See,
This poison was not difficult to cure.
He
Then
was
I will leave it
surprised
to
to
you.
find that her
Do you need
divine
me to
sense
lie
was
down?
calm, as if
The
she had
leader of the
already
rabbit
fulfilled
people
her wish
asked
and had
cooperatively.
nothing to worry
There's
about.
no need.
This was the
Just sit
prelude to
down.
death.
Yun
Meng,
Joga walked
hurry up
behind
and bring
the leader
those
of the
sick
rabbit
little
people
Nagas
and
over.
used his
Yun
hand to
Joga
press on a
hastily
few of her
instructed.
acupuncture
Yes.
points. He
Meng
said
quickly
carefully,
brought the little
this
snake
poison
man
has
over.
blocked the
After the
acupuncture
death
points
aura
of
was
3
removed,
of your
the
meridians.
little Naga recovered
That's why
quite
you
well.
can't use your power
All of them
to
were
transform.
white and plump, and their
Later,
tails were
I will
thick
use
and
needles
strong.
to force the
They were
poisonous
much
blood
taller
out.
than before.
It might
and when
be a
they
little
saw Yun
painful,
Joga,
but bear
they
with it.
bowed respectfully.
Seeing the leader of
I
the
have a
rabbit
task
people
for you.
nod,
If
Yun
anyone Someone can wake
picked
up the lightning fire needle and inserted it into the acupuncture points. Yun Joga poured a cherry pill into his blood, quickly emerged from the emitted a sweet aroma, as the process which was very tempting to these little whelps. The leader of the rabbit people slowly aged. The little Naga with black and white tails and wrinkles slowly grew on her face. Whatever method you use, when the other rabbit people saw the transformation of the leader, they did not stop the children of the Naga tribe. It seemed like this was the true face of the leader of the rabbit people. Depended on these little whelps. It's done. Yun Joga put away the immediately jumped onto the leader of the rabbit people and could clearly feel the return of her ears and scales. She asked Yun Joga the demeanor of naughty children. This method is very useful. Can you teach us? Frowned. We can use things to exchange for something good, but it turned out to be an old effective. I do not recommend that you use it yourself. In Zishang's
if you don't control your strength
if he did
well,
not explain
it can
clearly
easily cause huge
Zishang
damage.
would explode.
If it's
Come
light,
here,
your meridians will be
Yun
damaged.
Joga brought
If it's
Zishang
serious,
to a corner
you
and
will be
said in a low
paralyzed
voice,
and have a stroke.
I want to know what's
Yun
the
Joga
difference
said
between
solemnly.
Aunt Gaga's
I
golden
just hope
light
that I
and
can
other
save the
orcs.
lives of my
Isn't
clansmen
it
at
fine
the
as
critical
long
moment.
as it's golden light?
If it wasn't for Yun
Zishang
Joga,
raised his eyebrows.
they would have been doomed.
Of course not.
The leader of the rabbit
you
people
forgotten
didn't wish
Azay
for
and
the
Dummy?
fate of her clansmen
Yun
to be
Joga
in the
glared
hands
at
of
Zishang.
others.
Later,
Azay
I will
awakened
help
the
your
golden light
clansmen
and became a
needles
lunatic,
one by
while
one.
Dummy became
How
a
much
fool.
you can learn will depend
Dummy
on your
became
own
a fool
abilities.
after traveling through
Yun
space.
Joga didn't plan on
Zishang
bartering
corrected.
for it to prevent
He wasn't
future
much
trouble.
better before he
Thank
became
you.
a fool.
The
Yun
leader
Joga
of the
said.
rabbit people
According to Yun
immediately
Joga's
arranged for her
understanding,
clansmen
Dummy
to sit
was
in
not
rows.
only a troublemaker
Yun
in the
Joga
Eagle
moved the
tribe,
needles
but also
rapidly
in other
and began
tribes,
helping the
which
rabbit
meant that his
people
mental
detoxify.
condition was unstable. What about the rabbit tribe?
Chapter 5:16.
Zishang raised
The
his
rabbit people
eyebrows.
watched Yun Joga
Although the
as she
rabbit tribe
inserted
was
the
a little
needles and
neurotic,
discussed in
it was
low
still
voices.
normal.
Do you
They
understand?
are herbivores.
Although
I think
they
I
are
did, but
mentally
she was too
stable,
fast.
their bodies
Don't
are
we
too
still
weak.
have needles on us?
They can only use
Let's
the
go
golden
back
light
and apply
when they
some
turn into
rouge flower
rabbits.
before we study
Their
it.
attack power is
She
too
had some
low.
smarts. Seeing
Yun
Zishang
Joga
smiled
smiled
slightly.
slightly.
She didn't
Joga
hate
changed
smart
the
people.
topic.
Are you
Miss
willing
Yun,
to lead the
these
rabbit
gnolls
tribe
aren't
to
good
attack
people.
Grey Castle?
I suggest you
No,
don't
I'm
keep
not.
them.
The rabbit
Zishang
leader
imagined
saw the
himself
gnolls
leading
tied
a
up
group
like
of
big
big
white
white
hawthorns.
rabbits.
He
Her
got usually
goosebumps,
calm eyes,
but he
couldn't
didn't
give
help
up, but show hatred.
Don't we still have
These
Demeng and
gnolls
Maya?
violated the
They're not
ancestral
bad.
decree not to
Demeng
kill
and
each
Maya
other
are
and
strong,
attacked us
so
rabbit
they're
people.
mentally unstable.
They deserve to die.
Demeng is too
Demeng
impulsive.
roared angrily.
He won't fight
The
for
other
no
rabbit
reason.
people also
Maya
started
is
to
too
riot.
calm.
It
Everyone
doesn't
calm
matter
down.
if she doesn't speak
Yun
for
Joga
3
stopped
days.
the rabbit people and said, "They're just controlled by the
In Yun
demonic
Joga's
chi.
eyes,
They might
were
not really
abnormal.
want to attack you
As long as they can fight.
Controlled by
What does
the
it matter
demonic
if
chi?
they're normal or
What do you
not?
mean?
The
Zishang
rabbit leader
frowned.
asked with a frown.
He had ways to teach
Yun
them a
Joga
lesson.
remembered that
It's
the
fine
leader
if there's
didn't
no
know
other
about
choice,
the demonic chi,
but I already
so
know
she
how to make them
explained it
awaken
briefly.
the golden light
Are
normally.
the people who brought
Of course,
in the demonic
I have
chi
to choose
related
the
to
right
the Black
one.
Rain
Yun
disaster?
Joga said grumpily.
The rabbit leader asked
According
in a
to
low
her
voice.
observations and
I'm not
experiments,
sure. Normal
Yun
orcs
Joga
were
shook her
mentally
head and said,
unstable because
"We'll
the
talk about
golden
this
light
later.
was awakened
I'll
in their
take you to
brains.
Guar and the others
However,
first, little flower,
but I can only
big
take you
ear,
with me when
and
you turn
Aunt
into
Gaga
rabbits.
were awakened in their
The
hearts,
space in the
ears,
spirit
and
beast bag
tails.
was limited.
The only thing
She
they
couldn't
had in
carry
common
such
was
a
that they were
large
both
group of
corrupted
humanoid
by
rabbits.
demonic aura.
Sure.
Therefore,
The rabbit leader
Yun
now
Joga wanted to
trusted
wait for
for
Aunt
little.
Gaga to wake up.
She didn't hesitate
She wanted
to
to
let
know
her
if the
people
golden
turn
light
into
would be
rabbits.
stronger and more
The bag is
stable
too
after
stuffy.
being corrupted by
I'll put you
demonic
in the
aura.
spirit beast
If
bag.
that was true,
There's
then the
spirit
orc's
chi
evolution
inside that
direction
can help
would
you
be
recover
clearer.
faster.
Since you already have a
Joga
way,
used Dummy
do
to
it
show them
quickly.
her spirit beast bag.
Zishang frowned
The
even
rabbit
more.
people were amazed.
Yun Joga thought
After
too
trying
much of
it,
the orcs.
they were all
It
very
was a waste of
satisfied
time
with
to
the
think
spirit
about it.
beast bag.
If it were him,
Yun Joga
he would do it
finally
as
dealt
soon
with
as
the
he
group
thought
of
of a way.
rabbits.
If
She
he
was
failed,
about to
he could
argue
just
with
start all
Zishang
over
when she
again.
saw him standing at a small dirt mound in the distance. Look what I found. Yun Joga
Chapter
walked over to take a look
529.
and found that
I
there was
really
a big
can't
hole
talk to you.
inside.
Yun
There
Joga
were thousands
raised
of
her
black
eyebrows
stones
angrily.
inside.
Just
What
as
is
she
this?
was about to lose
Yun
her temper,
Joga picked
Meng
it up
walked
and
out
waited.
of the house with a
It was
joyful
very
expression
heavy.
and said,
It wasn't
"Miss
an ordinary
Yun,
stone.
Aunt Gaga is
It
awake."
looked like iron ore.
Yun Joga
This is a
glared at
common
Zishang
iron
and
ore
followed
again.
Meng in.
Once it's
The 5
refined,
little
it can be
Nagas had
used
tears
as a
on their
weapon.
chubby faces and were
Zishang had
sobbing.
been wondering where he could
"Auntie,
get some
I thought
ores
you were
to
dead.
refine into a weapon.
Hey, good kids,
Now,
don't cry.
The problem was solved.
Aunt Gaga hugged the
No
5
wonder
little
the gnolls
Nagas
would
and
stay
coaxed
in this
them.
godforsaken
Aunt
place.
Gaga is going to
They're
plant
here for
Gaga
these
grass
ores
for you now.
Needless
I'll
to
plant
say,
a lot of it so that you
Nangong,
can
must
eat
have
as
asked
much
them
as you
to
want.
collect them.
Aunt Gaga,
This trip
we
was
don't
not
eat
in
Gaga
vain.
grass anymore.
Hurry up and
We
put
eat
them
grass,
away.
rice, and grass
Zishang
potatoes now.
said with satisfaction.
The little Naga
Yun
wiped her
Joga
tears
bluntly
and took
put
out
away
a round
all the
potato
vanadium
from the animal
ores.
skin bag she
Let's
carried
go
on
to
her
the
back.
cliff.
She
Yun
handed it
Joga
to Aunt
stored the
Gaga
gnolls
and
that had
said,
been controlled
"This
by
is
the
for you."
demonic chi at the
Midu
bottom
midu.
of the spirit
The other
beast
little
pouch,
Nagas
then
also
started
offered
running
their
with
treasures.
Zishang. Auntie is
Although
not
she
hungry.
could not use her spiritual power.
Aunt
The spell of
Gaga's
10,000 beasts had laid a
She had
solid
never laid a
foundation
living
for her
egg in
body,
her life,
and her running
treated the
speed
little
was
ones
not
in her
inferior
tribe
to
as
that
her
of a
own.
wild horse.
It was good enough that
After
the children
running for about an
remembered her.
hour, Yun
How could they
Jioga
bear
and
to
the
eat
others
their
arrived
precious
at the
food?
cliff.
They
They
saw
were all
that the
full.
grass curtain
The little
hanging over the
Nagas
cave
had
had
their bulging
disappeared,
bellies,
and the things
the Naga
inside were
tribe
in
was
a
the
mess.
first to plant
It
grass
was obvious
and eat
that
a lot.
someone had ransacked
They had a
it.
lot of food,
Yun
so they
Jioga's
ate their
heart
fill every
tightened,
day.
and he hurriedly flicked
Auntie,
his moon
things
spirit
are different
thread
now.
into the cave.
I'll bring you out
Zi
later
Shang
and you'll
tapped
understand.
lightly on the cliff wall
Meng
a few
laughed.
times before
Is that
floating
so?
in with Yun Jioga.
Aunt Gaga's
There were
memory was
many
still
blood
stuck
stains in the
past.
cave, mixed
Back
with
then,
gray
the
feathers
Naga
and
tribe
white
had to
rabbit
risk
fur.
their lives
Looks
just to
like
get
the
a bite
spy
of
you
food.
mentioned has appeared.
Of course it's true.
Zi Shang
All
looked
of
around
this
the
is thanks
cave,
to the great
then
Lady
picked up the
Yun
blood
and
stain
Lord
in the
Yizi.
corner and rubbed
They
it.
brought hope to
Even
our
if there's a
beastmen
spy,
tribe. Meng bowed the military counselor and the others. How did they get killed so quickly? Aunt Gaga then realized that there were two people standing in the house. With the eagle men their and rabbit men around, and temperament were completely different from get away with it. Although she did not know what had happened, they looked at the bottom of the cliff since the tribe leader respected them so much. Yun Jioga followed Zishang's down from the bed and looked at the pitch black bottom of the cliff. Zishang, like the tribe leader, the bloodstains are going downwards, so they should be down there. Testing her abilities. Hold on tight. Zishang walked in with his arms around Yun Jioga's slender waist and jumped down the cliff. He was just an ordinary orc. Her ears. How would he know how to test she was about to fall? Golden light. She flicked her moon Take her to the plantation for a walk. To stabilize herself. Yun Jioga recalled Aunt Gaga's appearance when she awakened the golden light and from the bottom of the cliff. Have awakened this ability. Two figures were lying in a pile of rubble. Meng immediately led Aunt Gaga, went over to take a look and saw that the one in front was Egu. The five little Nagas followed behind them excitedly, and there were bloody holes on his back, which Yun Jioga's sides and his wings red. To speak. Behind Egu was the military counselor. Talk less. He was lying on his back and looked like he still had some consciousness. Yun Jioga out. When he saw Yun Jioga, the military counselor, a chance to speak. He wanted to shout for help, people arrived, but he could not make a sound. Don't speak. Yun Jioga hurriedly used stared at the majestic city wall in front of her. Then she fed a few of the blood-staunching spirit pills and that she couldn't close her mouth that she had brought. The five little snake people surrounded her and excitedly explained all the bloody holes on their bodies had stopped. Apart from the territories of the eagle men, Nagas, and the others, centaurs, the military counselor said in a hoarse voice, there were 12 other territories that were empty. Who attacked you? Auntie, these territories are for other orcs. Winter is coming soon, and we have to plant enough food to save more orcs. He never expected that it would be his own people to Aunt Gaga as he took out a big bag of grass and rice. How could it be him? How do I plant this? Yun Jioga was also greatly shocked. A little flustered. I don't know why she had only planted Gaga grass in her life and had never planted what had happened with great difficulty. Just plant it like you plant Gaga grass. When came over, there was nothing out of the ordinary. Picked an empty space and looked at the initiative to help the rabbit men fetch water and told them about the construction of the city. Aunt Gaga, just as they were talking enthusiastically, they were yellow rice took out a sharp wooden and there were thousands and stabbed them in the back. She felt a sense of mission when she thought about the pregnant that would save the little rabbit to threaten the rabbit men to leave with tail emitted a faint golden light before chasing after to the ground. Yun Jioga wanted to send the military counselor to the top of the cliff. The yellowish-brown rice grains took after them and sprouted as soon as they touched the ground. Send the rabbit men to the oracle. Followed her footsteps. Otherwise, the eagle men race would not be able to atone for their sins as she walked to the side of the wide empty space. The brown empty space was soon covered by the yellow grass. I'll come back to pick you up later. So many big grass. Seeing that their injuries were still people followed Aunt Gaga happily did not say and began to scream and play. He threw out his moon spirit threads and headed to the top of the cliff. Gaga in disbelief. Treasure-seeking scorpion. When Aunt Gaga had awakened, still remember he was only happy the rabbit man that was with you previously? Now that Aunt Gaga had performed such a miracle in front of him, the treasure-seeking scorpion due to Yun Jioga's rabbit was captured by someone. He turned to look at Yun Jioga and wanted to kneel down and worship a pregnant female. Unfortunately, the treasure-seeking scorpion did not have time to care about him. If I catch him, I'll using her spiritual eye to observe Aunt Gaga's movements. It jumped onto the ground and spun around a few times. Is this normal? Then it pointed to the west and said, "There, I was right." Chase after him. Sea of consciousness Yun Jioga threw the treasure-seeking scorpion onto his shoulder and quickly headed west with Zishang. After running for 2 hours, the sea of consciousness, they finally saw a figure flying in the distant sky. It was a hui. She did not mind the argument with Zishang, or follow him to see where he's going. Demonic energy would be a disaster for these beastmen. According to his intentions, he wanted to cast a transformation to catch a big fish. I wonder if Nangong Jioga might not be willing to let the rabbit men take the risk. Pondered. If they knew, they wouldn't have locked them up to drink blood. Let's go take a look said with certainty. Yun Jioga thought about it and decided to follow. If he knew that beastmen could automatically awaken the golden light, he would definitely keep them in captivity and the rest followed behind Hui and saw him flying towards the initiative. The deathly aura emitted by the death swamp had a strong corrosive effect territory for so long, even flying in the sky would be shrouded by achievement. After Hui entered the death swamp, he slowed down and the feathers on his wings started to dim. However, this impatient guy only wanted to reach the heavens in a single step. His god power if they did as he said, they would only get a bunch of crazy people into the death swamp. Goddess is wise. After following Hui for about 1 kilometer, tactfully admitted his mistake through the miasma and landed on a flat ground. Hurry up and help me set up an illusion array. He realized that behind the miasma was a great fort. She was ready to go all out. An area of 5 hectares cooperated with Yun Joga and set up the dungeon again. It had no windows and only a square door. 9 hell in reversal arrays. There were 2 lizard men guarding it. They could put in a large number of lizard men walked out stiffly and took Actually, it would be safer to make a few more examples. She actually dared to stay here. Yun Joga said regretfully. Yun Joga was very surprised. Although had succeeded, a cultivator it was better to make a protection of spiritual energy was the process of awakening the golden light after being infected by the demonic energy had a certain degree of risk. Here? If the serpent men did not have Aunt Gaga's firm belief, they could easily be devoured. Approach the fort. There is no time. There were beast men guarding the fort. The most they will do is turn them all stupid. All of them had gray-skinned, glazed eyes and they will die. Stone statues. This batch of beast men will finish migrating in half a month. To take a look and realize that these beast men were filled with demonic aura. Zishang mercilessly shattered even worse than the previous fantasy. The previous lupus could only be said to be controlled. These beast men had completely turned into puppets. 530. It was no wonder that they were not afraid of the deathly aura for the miasma. Zishang pulled Yun Joga into his arms and hissed her forehead lizard men guarding the gate. When they raised their heads to look around, he threw another stone into the swamp. Her depressed mood was instantly lifted. The 2 lizard men walked over stiffly to take a look. To the treatment room Yun Joga and Zishang had helped her build in the back mountain. The entrance was completely dark without any plan for the orcs' awakening. A slightly familiar voice came from not far away. The military counselor over. Why are there only so few rabbit men? The guards first. Yun Joga stretched his head out to take a closer look. To see Yun Joga's awakening plan. The leopard youth and the lizard man who intercepted them when they entered the secret realm. So they had a higher chance of awakening. In this lifeless place filled with puppet beast men, according to the experience of the rabbit tribe, as long as one of the golden orcs awakens, opened his spirit eye and discovered that the 2 beast men were also covered in golden light. That was protecting Yun Joga's awakening plan was not based on the number of golden light shown on his chest. While the lizardman's golden light shone on his ears, was a strong-willed guide. It was more intense than the rabbitman's, around, but not as intense as definitely awaken smoothly. Strange, Miss Yun, these 2 beast men had golden light join after the awakening? Why the military counselor asked carefully. Could it be that there was something special about them? Yun Joga did the rabbit men must be with the military counselor's thoughts. Do you even need to ask? The eagle men and the Naga were the first tribes to rely on her. Take these rabbits to the prison and put them with each other. The leopard youth handed the rabbits back to Ash and pointed the way for him. Thank you, Miss Yun. Carrying a big bag of rabbits, won't let you down. We turned around and the military counselor heaved a sigh of relief. I can only help you fight for this little bit of time. Yun Joga. The leopard Naga could awaken successfully, stop talking nonsense, the eagle man would learn and report to the Lord. Yun Joga's plan was to let the Naga drink the water of magical stone first. Hopefully we can make it out the demonic energy invaded them. The panther race youngster gave under Aunt Gaga's guidance to defeat themselves. The golden light after learning about the plan, gradually extinguished and black that they could not sleep for a few days. His skin turned gray and his eyes became lifeless, this rare opportunity and strive to awaken. The lizard man rubbed his ears and put away the golden light. This slogan after turning into a puppet with her leopard youth, they did not dare to leak it into the depths of the castle. On the day of the plan, to take a all look, the Naga gathered at the back mountain and lined up, waiting for Aunt Gaga to distribute the water of magical stone. The 5 little Nagas also came to join in the fun. I'll just go and take a look. They definitely won't act rashly. And busied themselves around like little helpers. That he was much more cautious than going to the dungeon with the adults. All right. The military counselor and split up with Yun Joga worriedly. Yun Joga followed the leopard youth and the lizard Nagas to a large door deep in the castle. To be infected by the demonic aura. Was made of gray stone and there were all kinds of totems. We don't need them for now. There were also 2 monkey demon the little eagle man and the little Naga had Joga's heart tightened when she saw the 2 monkey demon there was still some demonic chi left in their bodies. Only chosen if they wanted to completely awaken, they could only rely on the golden light. These 2 monkey demon corpses had changed a lot compared to the outside world. But they were giant sharp teeth, so they might not be able to withstand the torment, and their bodies were releasing a thick drinking the demonic chi water. Cultivation bases the Naga tribe entered the dungeon valiantly. She didn't know how Aunt Gaga did lead. The awakening experiment was undoubtedly and she didn't dare act rashly. All the Nagas had awakened golden light, but the intensity of the light was different, and the lizard man before letting them in were also different. The gray door was only opened enough for them to pass through, the female but it was a pity that Yun Joga couldn't see anything from her angle. The male Naga, on the other hand, was just like drawing away the 2 monkey demon extremely powerful attacks. So she could only silently wait. This was especially true for Meng. It was a good thing that the leopard youth had awakened quickly came out and then slowly walked out. strength had increased, and he could smash a boulder before giving up on looking for Cho's senator. She turned around and followed the leopard youth and the lizard was that there were a few skinny female Naga beastmen who had awakened to give her a lot of information. It was a very small green snake species. A sharp alarm sounded in the castle. They were extremely fast. The leopard youth and the lizard into their original form suddenly rose, and their venom was very strong. Source of the alarm. They were experts at assassination. Yun-Joga's pupils shrank, and she suddenly shot out a away by thread to tie up the leopard youth were taken and the lizard man, while the males were sent to guard them into her spirit beast in the city. Let's go. Yun-Joga began the awakening of the eagle to Yun-Joga with a hui on his shoulder, who had been kept away all this while. A large group of the demonic aura on a hui was a bit heavy. Crossbow bolts were shot at him, was worried that he wouldn't be able to awaken by his sleeves. So she asked the military counselor to bring Ashue over and let him stay with his father and Zishang, and followed him outside. She hoped that the power of kinship could help him get through the secret realm. There was a monkey-ean corpse after making arrangements for a in the prison, and I was accidentally discovered by her newly built treatment room in the back mountain. Really unlucky. Miss Yun. He had knocked a hui lowered his head and was about to go find Yun-Joga, but he never thought that he would be discovered by a monkey-ean corpse. Why didn't you come find me? Although he had knocked out the monkey while carving runes on spirit stones, it still triggered the alarm. I don't have the face to follow those two beastmen inside, was afraid that he would be seen as a crazy bird if he walked out. So he had been hiding in his nest. The appearance of wasn't your fault for going crazy last time. It seems like the ones inside are either Cho-Sen or Nangong. Yun-Joga put down the spirit stones and looked at Zishang was a bit moved. Do you trust me? Save it? Of course I trust you. Yun-Joga said as he sent a leopard puppet flying. He almost swore to the heavens. Who says this venerable if you trust me, them, then lie on the stone was a bit dissatisfied. I'll extract the golden light from your brain later. Too much. The process is very simple, fighting alone but you might lose a part of your memory. You should go back and gather the removing the golden light from Aze's brain and making him awaken again. Would he not lose control and become crazy? Yun-Joga onto his body, and his lower body turned into a black snake tail, sending countless beastmen flying. That won't happen. At most, you'll forget the 518. The monster monkey been brooding over his brother's death. Let's go. What Yun-Joga needed to do was to look behind him part of his memory. Two golden core monster monkey corpses charging over with spears. Lay down on the stone bed. On the spears was very terrifying. Help me, I'll directly leave the death and breathe. You'll be fine soon. Tail smashed the wall and he jumped out of the castle. Instantly arriving at the edge of the death swamp, she stabbed the lightning fire needle into his in a layer of golden light, isolating the death tilted and he fell asleep. Yun-Joga jumped into the divine power and with a twist of his tail, he flew out like an arrow. Then, there were several extracted it and put it into a bottle of spirit, but they immediately sank into the swamp. Keeping his golden light? The monster monkey-eating corpses looked at Yun-Joga and Zishang flying away, almost pounding their chests as they let out angry roars. Can't you knock when you come in? Behind the gray stone door, when she extracted the golden light and the golden became an idiot, looked up when he heard the commotion. So cowardly. He called the monster monkey walked over to Yun-Joga and looked at the bottle in her hand. He found out that a woman and a snake person had come in to cause destruction. I plan to put Aze's golden light into Little Blossom and Big Ear's bodies to see if it can save dark and strange. Yun-Joga said. So what if it was like a reincarnation of a goddess? The golden light that Little Blossom and Big Ear awakened wasn't enough to expel the demonic chi. After Yun-Joga and Zishang charged out of the death to see if it could strengthen them. They wildly ran for another hour. Afraid they'll suck Aze's golden light and become crazy would not chase them. Zishang raised his eye of relief. The golden light itself is good to stay as soon as possible. It's just that Aze's brain can't control it. Yun-Joga looked at the darkening sky and his heart began to awaken in the brain. The night in the secret realm was very dangerous. Yun-Joga lowered her head and engraved Aze's golden light on the bottle. Other than the deformed dead beasts, you really know how to make trouble. No other animals would dare come out. Zishang shook his head. Even if Yun-Joga had divine energy were already abandoned in his heart, he would not dare try it. Only Yun-Joga would think of a way the incomparably empty field. He was afraid that it would be hard to find a safe cave before nightfall. So it would be better to make a hole here. 31. He raised his hand and pressed down on the ground. Every time I mess with the golden light, chi came out of his palm and drilled into the ground. It's very useful for finding the origin of the golden light. In front of Yun-Joga didn't forget that she studied the orc's golden light to find the origin and strengthen her divine power. He sealed the hole and there was no trace of them in the field. Zishang patted Yun-Joga's head quite thoroughly. Why aren't you busy with building the city? Yun-Joga looked around the empty basement in front of him. Everything was made from Zishang's energy. She wasn't exchange. Fan Yin's favor is very valuable. If she was still a goddess, if it wasn't for the special circumstances, Zishang's behavior was enough to be considered disrespectful. It was too cheap for them to help build the city. Grey Castle is moving. You a favor? I suspect Cho-Sen will attack us in advance. The handsome monk was always dignified and solemn. Are you
He could
sure
not
you
even
can
crack
defend
a joke?
Yun City? How could he owe
Yun
Zishang
Jioga
a favor?
frowned.
The
I
city
told
was
him that you
filled
wanted
with
to take him
ordinary
into your
orcs.
harem,
She
which
could
made
only
me feel
rely
very
on Zishang
embarrassed.
and Yin
He
Shirley
felt
to
that he owed
defend.
me a favor.
Just based on Yin Shirley and me,
Zishang
we
said
can't
rather
defend
evilly.
it forever.
I never
You have
thought
to
of
hurry
taking
up.
him in, okay?
Zishang was
Yun
here to urge
Jioga
her.
glared at him.
I was
No
planning
matter
to
how
awaken
bad
the
he was
eagle
in his
people
previous
tomorrow.
life,
Now
he
that you
still
mention
had a
it,
bottom
we have
line.
to start tonight.
I know, I
Yun
purposely
Jioga
tricked him.
sighed.
She didn't like the feeling of being rushed at all.
owe him a
Doing
favor
research
so that he could
required
torment
slow
him in the
work
future.
in order to produce
You
fine
are
results.
so despicable.
Okay,
I'll
Zishang
inform the
dared to
advisor
use her.
now. Zishang
was right
kissed
about
Yun
him.
Jioga comfortingly.
Thank you for the compliment.
Go. Yun
Zishang
Jioga waved
smiled.
Zishang away
He was
and
such
woke
a
Zay up with a
despicable
needle.
person,
And
he
Zay
felt
got up
very
in a daze
honored.
and asked Yun
Release
Jioga,
Ash.
Miss
I
Yun,
want to ask him
why
what's
am
going
I
on.
lying here? Yun
How many
Jioga
is this?
decided to
Yun
interrogate the
Jioga
traitor
waved
first.
3 fingers in front of
Zishang
Zay.
then released a hui.
This is 3.
Ash's
A
usually
Zay
cold
answered
face
honestly.
was very
Go
sluggish.
find the advisor.
He looked at Yun
He will
Jioga
tell you
in a
why you're
daze.
here. It was
Yun
obvious that
Jioga's
he was
every
being
cell was
controlled.
screaming for
Yun
her to be
Jioga
busy.
opened her spirit
She
eye
really
and
didn't
saw
have
that
time
his
to
mind was
explain
filled
too
with
much
a
to
ball
Zay.
of thick gray
Oh.
gas.
Zay
Why is
scratched
it
his
like
head
this?
and walked out in a
Previously,
daze.
when
The
Yun
advisor
Jioga had
soon
examined
brought
the
the
Eagle
hui.
people over,
He had not been
he
controlled.
asked Yun Jioga
Why did he
excitedly
suddenly
and
erupt?
nervously,
Could
Miss
it be
Yun,
that the demonic
Master
chi
Yi
was
said
so
we're going
well
to awaken
hidden that
tonight.
even her spirit
Is
eye
it
was
true?
fooled? Could
That's
it be
right.
because of
Take
this?
this magic stone
Zishang
and soak it
gestured
in
for
water.
Yun Jioga to
Everyone
look at
drank a
Ash's
bowl of
back
it and then go
there was
to the
a bloody
dungeon.
hole there.
Yun Jioga
It was
threw
caused
a
by the
gray
Null's
magic
crossbow.
stone to the military
Yun Jioga
counselor
suddenly
and took
thought
out a
of the
booklet
special
to write a
gray
plan.
arrowhead of
After
the
the
Null.
Eagle Men awakened,
She took out the
it was the
arrowhead from
Bull's
her
and
storage
Centaur's
bag.
turn.
Zishang
Currently,
released
none of
in
these
energy
two races
at the
had
arrowhead.
awakened the golden light,
The arrowhead
so they couldn't
immediately
follow the
turned
same
into
steps
black
as
and
the
red
red
demonic
demonic
energy.
Eaglemen.
With
They
a
had to
whoosh,
first
it
test
burrowed
and choose
into
the
Ash's
beast men
wound.
with the strongest
After Yun
protectiveness
Jioga
of their
used her
tribe,
god power
and then
to
used that
extinguish
to
the
awaken
demonic
the other
energy,
tribesmen.
she asked
The
Zishang,
military
where did
counselor
they get
took
so
the
many
magic
demonic
stone
stones?
and looked at Yun
Why
Jioga
didn't the Naga
hesitantly.
race use
In
these
the end,
arrowheads
he
before?
couldn't help but ask,
If the Naga
Miss
race
Yun,
also
can my
used these
grandfather
arrowheads,
awaken with
the
us?
Eaglemen race would
If
have been
Grandpa
wiped
could
out.
also awaken
It
the
probably
golden
has
light,
to do with
he
the
might be
user's
able to
physique.
live longer. The Knoll is already a
Yun
puppet,
Jioga
so
put
it can
down
make
the plan
use
in
of
his
the
hands
demonic
and
stones.
looked up at the military
However,
counselor.
the demonic
He said
stones
seriously,
shouldn't be able to turn the
awakening the
beast
golden
men
light
into puppets.
consumes a lot
They
of
must have
energy
used
and
other
mental
methods,
strength.
such as the Gaga grass, to turn the beast men
Elder
into
Bai,
puppets.
who is about
Only
to die
then can
of
they
old
make
age,
use of the
entering
demonic
it is
stones.
tantamount to suicide.
Zishang gave
I
his
understand.
conjecture.
I'm
It's
sorry
getting
to
more and
disturb
more
you.
troublesome.
I'll go and prepare
Yun
now.
Jioga sighed. Although the
She kept
military
Ash in
counselor
her
was
spiritual
sad,
beast
he
bag
forced
and
himself
released
to
the leopard
smile
youth
and left
and the
with the
lizard man.
magic stone.
These two were
Yun
even
Jioga
more
was
wooden
really
than Ash.
worried when he saw
Their
the
bodies
military
were covered
counselor
in
like
gray
this,
gas,
so he
just
took the
like
plan
the
to the
Knoll.
small dark
If
room
Yun
in the
Jioga
dungeon
hadn't
and
seen them
personally
speak,
watched over
she
them.
would have thought that
The
they had
Eagle Men
become
were all
puppets.
excited when they
She
saw
injected
Yun
her
Jioga
god
power
personally
into
coming.
the chests
The
of
Eagle
the two
Men
beast
were
men.
divided into
The
two
two
groups
beastmen's
and
bodies
entered the
glowed
dungeon
with a
illusion.
golden light.
The first
Slowly
group was led
dispersing
by
the
Azay,
demonic energy
which
in their
included
heads.
a hui,
Then
a
they
gu,
opened their
and
eyes.
other Eagle Men with
It's
normal
you?
physiques.
The leopard
When the
youth
illusion
instantly
started,
recognized Yun
a hui
Jioga.
was the first
Where
to
is
awaken.
this? The golden
lizard
light
man
spread
looked
from
at
his
the
wings
earthy
and
yellow
expelled
basement
all
warily.
the demonic
It's
energy
safe
in his
here.
body.
You've
Yun
already
Jioga
escaped
couldn't
from
help
the
but
death
nod
swamp.
after
Yun
seeing
Jioga
this.
said calmly.
The company of
Zishang
family
could
hid
indeed
breaths and hid in the
shadows.
protectiveness of the
You
tribe.
rescued us.
Azay was the second
The
to
leopard
awaken.
youth had a look of
His
disbelief.
wings were shining with
This
golden
woman
light
could
and
actually
looked
pass through the
extremely
death
powerful.
swamp
And Grey
Agu
Castle
was next.
She was too
This
powerful.
kid was probably ready
That's
to
right.
become a father.
What are your names?
His protectiveness
Why did you go
was
to
very
Grey
strong.
Castle?
What
Other
happened
than
there?
his wings,
What's
his
behind that
abdomen was
patterned
also
door?
awakened with
Yun
golden
Jioga
light.
fired
The
off
other
a
Eagle
barrage of
Men
questions.
also awakened
The
one
leopard
after
youth
another.
glanced at the
All
lizard
of their
man.
wings were glowing.
When he saw the lizard
The
man
stronger
nod,
Eagle
he
Men's
slowly
wings were
said,
brighter, while
"I'm
the weaker
flowering
ones
and
were
he's
dimmer.
big ear."
However,
We were
it was the
captured
best
and brought to
outcome
Grey
for all
Castle.
of them to awaken.
Behind the door
The
is a man
awakened
called called
Eagle
Cho
Men were
Senior.
automatically
It turned out that
ejected from the
Xiao Hua
illusion.
and Big Ear were
The
the
military
first batch of
counselor
beastmen
and
to
Fei
seek
guarded
refuge with the
outside
oracle
and pulled them to the
after
resting room
receiving the
next to the
oracle's
dungeon.
order to capture
Soon,
Yun
the
Jioga.
first group
They
of
had been
Eagle Men
loitering
all
at the
left
entrance
the
of the
illusion.
secret land.
The military counselor,
After Yun Jioga
Fei,
escaped with Dummy
Ping,
that day,
and the
they
other
planned
young
to go
and
back
strong
and
Eagle
report to
Men
the
were the
oracle.
second group.
They didn't
This
expect
group
to be
of
recruited
strong
by
Eagle Men
Chosen to come to the
awakened
death
even
swamp
faster.
and help him
The
capture
golden light
beastmen
on
who
their
could
wings was
transform into
also
beasts.
very dense.
Is the
They would
Chosen you're
definitely
talking
be
about a
very
man who
strong
looks like
after
a 5-year-old
transforming.
child? The military
Yun
counselor's
Jioga
awakening
asked.
was also
No,
very
Cho
smooth.
Sin is a tall
First
and
his
handsome
wings,
man who looks
then his
very
chest.
gloomy and
The
scary.
light was even more
Big Ear
intense
shook
than
his
August.
head.
Did
However,
Chosen
this
lift the
was very
curse?
normal.
Yun
The
Jioga
military
thought for a
counselor
moment,
had
then
always
asked,
been in charge
why
of the
did
tribe
Chosen
with
capture
capture
beastmen who can
His
transform into
protectiveness
beasts?
was the strongest,
so he naturally awakened the most.
Chapter 5:19.
Yun-jyoga was just about to close the illusion behind the door and drank their blood every day. Suddenly turned pale. Little Blossom shuddered at the thought. A mouthful of blood. You too can transform too. A golden light burst out from drink your blood, and he was ejected from the illusion. Was confused. It happened too suddenly. These beastmen were definitely high-quality products. Didn't even see how the military counselor we can transform. She quickly left the dungeon and saw a group of eagle men surrounding the military counselor at the foot of the mountain. You don't have to lie to me. Military counselor, can see the golden light on your body. Ah-Zay patted the military counselor's face nervously, then pointed at Little Blossom's chest and Big Ear's ears. Miss Yun is here. Your golden light is here. Everyone move away. Little Blossom and Big Ear's yoga coming over and quickly let her come closer. They suddenly attacked Yun-Yoga. What happened to the military counselor? Before they could get close to Yun-Yoga, they were sent flying by a strong force. Why did he spit blood? They slammed into the wall. His face was full of panic. Behave, or the military counselor was recognized as an elite as he walked out of the shadows. The awakening should have been very smooth. He stood beside Yun-Yoga like an unshakable mountain. Little Blossom and Big Ear looked at him with complicated expressions, so he spat blood. That attack just now made them know that this man was very strong. The eagle men while there was no way they could win. To check on the military counselor. Don't be too nervous. The golden light on the military counselor's wings and chest were very stable. Only the golden light the color was bright yellow, but there was a thumb-sized golden light on your body spinning in his head. This ball of golden light was not as dense and pure as golden light on our bodies, nor was it as violent as Azay's. Little Blossom and Big Ear shook their heads never seen before. After he and Big Ear were intercepted by Chosen and brought to the death swamp. As soon as he came over, injected magic stones into them and turned them into gray puppets. There's a small problem with the awakening of the military counselor. Fear death. Yun-Yoga could not use magic and said in annoyance, the second day after Little Blossom and Big Ear became puppets, don't worry, awoke to the golden light when he wakes up consciousness. So he could not provide any eagle-men and asked, if you think of any clues, tell me immediately. All the eagle men have successfully awakened. Little Blossom and Big Ear men stood in front of Zishang with their chests puffed out. If they knew where the golden light came from, they wouldn't be all the eagle men away with one sentence. They would at least be at dummies level, leaving only the military counselor lying on the ground. And Big Ear quickly nodded. had no choice but to let the Meng send the military counselor to bring them by and inform her when he woke up. There might be other people with the military counselor away. My people are still in their original awakening plan, Little Blossom said. Not long later, Little Flower could guess what Yun-Yoga was thinking. He immediately said, I am willing to represent them and be loyal to you. Chapter 5. You just need to give them a safe place to stay. Where are Agu and the others? The oracle looked at them like they were ants, but Yun-Yoga was calm. Not a single eagle man had looked at them as though they were ants. To patrol, but Yun-Yoga's eagle men are not bad. Lady Yun, I am also willing to serve you on behalf of the Golden Tribe. Not only the conditions are the same as the leopard men into beast form, but their speed and strength had also greatly increased. We can. At the same time, Argus, who had awakened two body parts, could also spit out wind blades. But we only have 2 hours of conscious time every day into an air Little Blossom smiled bitterly. Some of them were responsible for patrolling the airspace of Cloud City, was fading, and some of them left Cloud City to check on the situation of the migrating someone to pick them up and help them reach Cloud City as soon as possible. You just have to show it to my men patrol and they will follow you. What do you think? Big Ear took off a black leather rope hanging from his chest. The eagle men were responsible for defending the outside, while the serpent men were defending the small mountain. Smeared the blood on the inner city was a little empty. The gray scales immediately turned very disciplined. Little Blossom took off his bracelet to be patrol soldiers. There was a white tooth on it. Zishang nodded. He rubbed his blood on the tooth. No matter what, the rabbit men were still golden light beastmen. It would be a waste for them to stay in their territory and plant crops taking their tokens. I'm also going to set up a farming team with Aunt Gaga as the leader. Big Ear thanked him. They'll be responsible for helping the orcs grow food. Yun-Yoga told her about the farming team to the list, and then wrote down the healing stones and asked. However, do you know what's going on? It was still empty at the moment, and he would have to magic stone arrow and look at it carefully. This ability. He said, "These are all small that problems. The oracle appeared in the Knoll tribe. What I'm more curious about now is what happened to the military counselor's brain. Then they got sick. Zishang stroked his chin. Gaga grass military counselor was usually very good to the grasslands to collect iron. Now that his head had awakened with golden light after that, he had a feeling that he would bring surprises to consuming the demonic curious too, but we should have an answer tomorrow. Yun-Yoga nodded to himself and wrote down the construction team, then it made sense. Team, guard
Apart
team,
from Chosun,
and other projects
did you
on the
see
schedule.
anyone else with the oracle?
All right, stop writing,
Zishang asked.
Zishang took the booklet from
Actually,
Yun
we have
Jioga's
never
hand
seen
and
the
said
god
forcefully,
messenger's true
"It's
face.
already late at night.
She
You
always
should
wears a
sleep.
big white cloak,
I haven't
and her
finished
face is
writing
covered
yet."
with a veil.
Yun Jioga's
Little
head
Flower's
is full of
voice was
plans,
getting weaker
and he wants to
weaker.
write them out quickly.
His face was gray,
and
and he
became
became
a
a puppet
puppet
Yun
again.
Jioga in his
Yun
arms
Jioga
and
put
threw
him
Little
onto the
Blossom
bed
and
before
before
pinning
him
him
down.
the spirit beast back.
Didn't you say that
She
time
asked
is tight
Zishang,
and the mission
"I
is
wonder
heavy?
how Nangong
Why are
Li
you
and
still in the
Bailey
mood to
Moyun
think
are?"
about this? She had a
Yun
bad feeling.
Jioga glared at Zishang.
No matter what
Wanting
happened
to
to kick
them,
him off the
they
bed.
asked for it.
I just
They
want to
chose
sleep.
to believe Nangong
Is your
Yu
thoughts
and
too
not them.
evil, or do you want
I hope
it?
they're still alive.
Zishang placed
They
his
were
hand on
friends.
Yun Jioga's
Yun
stomach.
Jioga didn't want them to become
Yun Jioga's
Nangong Yu's
expression
puppets.
was cold.
The next
Only
morning,
when one was
Yun
full
Jioga
and warm would one
Zishang
think of
returned
lust.
to the bottom of the cliff.
She really wasn't in
They
the
found
mood
that
right now.
counselor and
Then
Gu
let's
were
go to
gone.
sleep. However,
We still have
the
work to
clues
do
they
tomorrow.
left behind indicated
Zishang's
that they had
voice was
returned
gentle
to
as his
Eagle
warm
Cliff.
hands gently
Back
rubbed
to
Yun
Eagle
Jioga's
Cliff
abdomen,
or the city?
spreading warmth throughout
Zishang
her
asked
entire
Yun
body.
Jioga.
Let's go back to the city. Yun Jioga thought about
Yun
it and
Jioga
decided to go back.
closed his eyes
That
and
was her
soon fell
territory.
asleep.
After
right.
seeing that Yun Jioga
Zishang
had
looked
fallen
like she was
asleep,
worth teaching.
Zishang
What
picked
kind
up
of
the
boss
schedule
would run
and
around all
continued to
day?
fill in the blanks.
Of course,
When
it
Yun
was to
Jioga
wait for
woke
the
up,
minions to come.
Zishang was no
2
longer
hours
in the room.
later,
Yun
there was a
Jioga
yellow
and
booklet on the
Zishang
wooden
arrived at
table,
the construction
and the
site.
plan inside
From
was
afar,
already filled
the tall
in.
walls were
It was
very
even
eye-catching.
more complete
They
than
could
what she
see
had
the
imagined
eagle people
before.
moving around
Yun
the small
Jioga
mountain
flipped
in the
through
middle
it and was very satisfied.
There were also many
He took the
snake
schedule
people
and
helping
went
to
out.
build houses
Just
by
as
the
he was
walls.
about to call
Elder
Elder
Bai
Bai
and
Meng
Meng thought
over
that
for a
Zishang
discussion.
would need a
He
long
heard that the
time to build the
military
city.
advisor had
They
woken
didn't
up.
expect it to be
Military
done in just a
counselor's
few
brain
days.
had awakened.
The two
another
races
type of
immediately
power,
came
the
over
spirit
to take
element.
the position.
Not only
Lady
did he have
Yun,
an
you're
eidetic
back.
memory, but he could
Azay
also
saw
sense
from
other
afar
people's
and rushed
emotional
over.
fluctuations
Oh,
and
right,
even
power
control
counselor and
weak-willed people.
Gu.
That's
Yun
a pretty
Jioga
good
asked.
ability.
They're
There's a
fine.
position that
They're
suits you the
recovering
best
at
right
Eagle
now.
Cliff.
Did you
After
catch
Zishang
that
heard
traitor?
about the military advisor's
Azay asked
awakened
excitedly.
ability, he immediately
did.
arranged for
Are
him
Elder
to
Bai and
receive the
Meng here?
migrating orcs
Yun
into the
Jioga
city.
asked. Now,
They're all in
many
the mountains.
orcs were migrating
I'll
to
take you
Cloud
there.
City every day.
Azay said,
Apart from the
no
tribes
need.
that the Eagle Men
Go
had
back
found
and tell
themselves,
Elder Bai
there
and
were
Meng
also
to gather
many
all the
tribes
orcs
that came alone
I
after
have
hearing
something
the
to
news.
say to them.
These orc
Yun
tribes
Jioga
that
decided
migrated
to gather
alone without
everyone
any
and
food
tell them
support
about the
were
gnolls.
very miserable
Okay,
and
I'll
pitiful.
go now.
Their faces
Azay
were
flapped
sallow
his
and they
wings
were
and
skinny.
flew back.
The old, weak, women, and children
Chapter
fell sick
520.
as soon as they entered
Yun
Cloud
Jioga
City.
was just about to enter the
Military
city when
counselor was
Zishang
almost
pulled her
going
hand
crazy.
and pointed to a
He
stone
led the
tablet
centaurs
not
in
far
charge
away.
of registering them,
He smiled
arranging
and said,
territories
"Being
and
surely
food,
is quite
and also
considerate."
arranging other places
Yun
for
Jioga
those who
fell
followed his
sick.
line of sight and
Those
saw
who
a
were simply
huge stone
sick
tablet
lived
at
at
the
the
city
city
gate
gate
with two
and those who
majestic
were
words
infected
written
by
on
the
it.
demonic
Cloud
energy
City.
were arranged to
I
stay
didn't
in
build
the
the
prison
city
at the back of the
It
mountain.
should be called
They
Purple
were
City.
also divided according
Yun
to the
Jioga
degree
felt
of
that she had
infection.
stolen Zishang's
The
credit.
large prison
In
at the
fact,
back of the mountain was
Zishang
occupied
had done
by
as
the
much
gnolls,
as she did
and
recently,
the middle
but he
prison was
always
occupied
kept a
by
low
orcs
profile
who were
and hid
infected by
behind
the
her.
demonic energy
This is
but
the
had
city
no
I
way
built
to
for you.
awaken.
It's called
These
Cloud
orcs
City.
had to wait for
It's
Yun
worthy
Jioga
of
to
its
finish her
name.
work before they had time to
Zishang
find a
smiled.
solution.
If it wasn't for Yun
Zishang was
Jioga's
also
kindness,
very busy.
he wouldn't have cared
He
about the
grabbed Ian
lives
Shirley
of these
to do
beastmen
construction
and wouldn't
every
have
day.
helped them like this.
Cloud City was
Cloud
changing
City
every
it
day.
is.
Cannons
It was just a
rose one
title.
after another on
Yun
the city
Jioga
walls,
wouldn't be
and a
hypocritical
solemn
and push it
atmosphere
around with
filled
Zishang.
the entire Cloud
The two
City.
of them walked into
Even
the
the
city
most
together
naive
and saw
children
Elder
knew
Bai
that war was
walking
coming.
over with the little
They no
eagle
longer
man,
ran around
Ashue.
and played.
Miss
Every
Yun,
day,
I heard
they
you caught
followed
Ash.
the adults of their
Is he
tribes
really
and
a traitor?
prepared to fight for
Elder
food.
White didn't believe
the plan
that
to
Ash would
awaken
betray
orcs
the
had been
Eagle Man.
carried out according
However,
to plan.
if Ash really
Currently,
did something
it
wrong,
was arranged
he hoped
according
to settle
to the
it
order
privately.
of entering the
Aqua
city.
didn't speak.
The centaurs
He looked at
and
Yun
Bopigo
Jioga
had
with his
successfully
light blue
awakened. If
The
Ash
golden
was
light
really
was
determined
awakened
to
in
be
the
a
traitor,
traitor,
and horns
the traitor's
respectively.
child would have a
They were
hard time
all
in the future.
classified as
That's
combat troops by
Ash didn't
Zishan.
betray you. According to Yunjoga's plan,
God's
they should
messenger.
go to the wild
Later,
boar tribe
I will
next.
explain this matter
At this
clearly
time,
in front of
Aze
everyone.
brought a fox youth to see
Yunjoga
her.
touched Aqua's head and gave him a cherry pill.
Thank
Lady
you.
Yun,
This
Aqua's
is
eyes
Asang.
lit up when he saw
said
this
he has
beautiful
something to
pill.
report to you.
He decided to
Aze
give it
said.
to his father.
This youth
That's
was
great.
very beautiful.
Oh right,
His
the
skin was
bull-headed
white
and centaur
his
tribes
facial
have come
features
to
were
us.
exquisite.
They're in the plaza
His
now.
eyes were arched upwards,
Elder White
and
was
he
dragged
dragged
a
a
big,
relieved,
fluffy
he
brown
knew
tail
the eagle
behind
men
him.
wouldn't have cowards.
As soon as he saw
They've all
Yunjoga
moved
come
here?
out, he got up and
Yunjoga
placed his
didn't
right
expect
hand on his
Elder White
chest.
to act so
He
quickly.
bowed respectfully.
That's right.
Honorable
We
Lady
brought
Yun,
food and moss
thank you
to
for
the
providing
centaurs and
food and a
ox-headed
place
tribes,
for my people.
and they moved
I will
over
forever
without
be loyal
hesitation.
to you on
Sir
behalf
Ian
of the
Shirley
Fox
has
tribe.
already divided the
I
area
accept
for
the
them,
friendship
and they've
of the
already
Fox
started
tribe.
planting herbivorous
Yunjoga
grass
nodded
and
with a
moss.
reserved
Elder
and
White
noble
said with
smile.
a face full of confidence.
After sitting down, she
That's
asked
right.
Asang,
Actually,
may I
the
know why
oxmen
you're
and
looking for me?
centaurs didn't fully
I
believe
heard
it
that
at
Lady
first.
Yun is
But
forming
after
a medical
discovering
team.
that the land
The
was
golden
actually
light
alive,
orcs of our
they
Fox
didn't
tribe
just
to
happen
move
to have
over.
special medical
You've
abilities.
done very well.
Ah Sang said
Take me
proudly.
to them.
Your
Yun
fox
Joga
tribe
needed
knows
to
how
get
to
to know
heal.
the first group
Yun
of
Joga
herbivorous
was
orcs
shocked.
that sought
She thought
refuge
the
with him.
fox tribe would be
They're
better
at the plaza.
illusions.
I'll take you there.
Yes, our
Elder
fox
by
tribe is
Yun
proficient
Joga
in
to the
all
plaza.
herbs in the
The
secret
square
realm.
was very simple,
We've developed
and there was
countless
only a
medicines
high
that are
platform
very
in the middle.
effective against
At
all
this
sorts
time,
of illnesses
the high
of the
platform
orcs.
was
Ah Sang
surrounded by
said
beastmen.
passionately.
There were
Wait.
eagle men, nagas,
Yun Joga
centaurs,
stopped Ah Sang
and
and
axemen
asked in
all
confusion.
gathered together.
After the black
When
rain,
he saw
most
Yun
of the
Joga
plants
and
died.
Zishang,
What
he
else is there
immediately
other than the
cheered,
big jade
Lady
grass
Yun
that can
Lord
stop
Yizi.
bleeding?
That's right.
The other orcs
After the
cheered
black
as
rain,
well,
only
as if
the
they were
big jade
welcoming a
grass is left.
triumphant hero.
Our fox
Yun
tribe has
Joga
more
raised
than
his
10
hand to greet
prescriptions
them
for
with
it,
a reserved
Ah Sang
smile,
said. Then walked in
These
front of the
prescriptions should
centaurs
only
and
have the
ox-headed
ability
tribes.
to stop bleeding.
The leader
right?
of the centaurs was
Yun
called
Joga
Mang,
felt that
and
Ah
the
Sang
leader
was
of the
tricking her.
ox-headed tribes was
Yes.
called Blackhorn.
Ah Sang's
Both of them
expression
were
didn't
very tall,
change even
but they were
after
so
being
thin that
exposed
bones
by
could
Yun
be seen
Joga.
everywhere.
She
The
continued.
tribesmen behind
Actually,
them also
the
looked
healing
very
abilities
weak.
of the orcs are
It was said
very
that after
strong.
the two tribes
The ones that
refused
really
to submit
can't
to Sir
heal
Divine
are the mental
Envoy,
injuries.
they started to get
Our
sick
fox
and had
tribe's
no
golden
strength
light
left
ability
in their
has a
bodies.
special effect on
Moreover, they
It
couldn't
can alleviate
eat
ordinary
all their
plants
illnesses
and could only
achieve
eat the
rapid
most healing.
tender and clean grass. But how could there be clean grass in this wasteland? The food that Elder by brought solved their predicament. So they
Chapter
made up their
5,
minds to
33.
come over and
At the
seek
end of the day,
refuge. Your fox
At worst,
clan is
they would
actually
just
best
die,
at
but at
creating
least they could
illusions.
die with Yun Joga as
Yun
ghosts.
Joga saw that Ah Sang
Don't worry
still
and
wanted
stay
to
here.
explain,
I won't
so he
mistreat
stopped
you.
him. Yun
Actually,
Joga
I
simply
need your
said a few
ability
words
now.
to them,
You
then
don't
went
have
to the
to go
high
to the medical
platform in the
team.
plaza with
Tell
Zishang.
me, how many
Zishang
golden beastmen
stood
have
behind Yun
awakened in
Joga.
your fox clan?
His tall figure was
I'm
like
the
a
only
mountain,
one right
and
now.
a sharp and
Ah Sang
dangerous
finally
aura
looked a
spread
little
in the
nervous.
air, as if it
During
wanted
his
to
time
steal
in
the
Cloud
air away.
City,
He had
the
already
beastmen
found out that
surrounding
this
the high
legendary
platform
Lady
all
Yun had
tensed
the
up,
ability to
looking at
awaken the
Zishang with
entire
eyes
tribe
full
with
of fear.
golden light. It was
According
only when
to
Yun
the order
Joga
in which
spoke
they
that the
entered the city,
suffocating
there were
atmosphere was
still a
broken.
few tribes before
I
the
believe
Fox
that
clan.
Elder Bai and Chief
Seeing that
Meng
the war
have
was
already
coming,
told you
he was
about the
afraid that
demonic
his
aura.
clansmen wouldn't
You
be
must
able
have
to
a
wait
lot
for
of
the
questions in your
arrangements and would
hearts.
run over
Today,
to recommend
I will
themselves.
explain it to you all. Show me your
Yun
ability.
Joga didn't waste
Yun
any
Joga
time
said
and
casually.
directly released
Yes.
the knoll and ash.
Ah Sang stood
She
up.
then told them
His
about
eyes
how
flashing
Nangong
with
released the
determination.
strange disease.
The tribe's
used the
development
Gaga
depended
grass
on
to
this,
demonize
so
the
he
knoll
couldn't make
and made
any
the magic
mistakes.
stone weapon
Ah
to
Sang
pollute ash.
exhaled softly,
The beastmen
then
were in
closed
an
his
uproar.
eyes and waved
The
his hands
centaurs
gently.
and ox-headed tribes'
Rays
faces
of golden
were
light
ashen.
spread out.
Their tribes
and the
were
entire
also
room
sick
rippled
before.
like water. If it wasn't
Yun
for the eagle
Joga
men
blinked
coming to
and
help
found
them,
himself
they would have
standing in the
ended
middle
up like
of
the
the
vast
knoll.
wilderness. Miss Yun,
Above him
can
was
they
the
still
dark
be
sky,
saved? And
what if
beneath
they get
his
the
feet
strange
was the dry
disease?
and cracked
Mang
brown
and
ground.
Blackhorn asked
The
at the
wind
same
that blew
time.
against his face
I haven't
carried
found
a
a way
bitter
to
and
save them
fishy
yet.
smell.
However,
It felt very
you don't
real.
have to be afraid
Not
of
far
the strange
away,
disease.
there was a skinny
It's because your
cicadere
bodies are
looking for
too
food
weak
in
to
the withered
resist the
grass.
death aura.
When it
As
noticed
long as you
Yun
have a
Joga's
full
gaze,
stomach,
it
you will be
immediately
able to
fled
resist
in
it.
panic. Yun
However,
Joga didn't
it
mention
didn't run
that the
for
golden
long
light
before
could
it fell
dispel
to the
the demonic
demonic
aura.
aura.
This
Although
kind of
Yun
thing
Joga
was only
knew that
suitable
everything
for
in front
private
of him was an
research.
illusion,
Then
he
what
still
should we
felt
do?
very sad.
Will we all become
This was
puppets
the
in the
true
end?
portrayal of an
Blackhorn
arcane
looked at the
realm,
knoll's lifeless
despair
eyes.
and death.
He didn't want to
This
become
little
like that
fox's
at all.
ability isn't bad.
So I need you
I
to
want
move
her.
the beastmen of the other
Zishang's
tribes
voice
into
suddenly
Cloud
sounded
City
in
as
Yun
soon as
Joga's
possible.
ears.
You
The water
beastmen have
ripples
no
faded,
resistance
and everything
to the demonic
returned to
aura.
normal.
It will only get
Sang
more
stood
and more
in the middle of
dangerous
the hall,
outside.
his fair
Yun Joga
forehead
said.
covered in cold
Nangong,
sweat.
you must have taken
He looked at
control of
Zishang,
many tribes,
who had suddenly appeared.
He
in
had to
awe
save them
and
as
fear.
soon as possible.
He had heard that
The boar
Lady
people
Yun
next
had a
door
very
also got
powerful
the strange
naga with her,
disease,
but he thought it
I
was
will
a
go
reckless
find them
martial
tomorrow.
artist.
Blackhorn
He
said
didn't
quickly.
expect it to be
The
so
boar
powerful
people were
that
too
it could
arrogant
break through
and
his
didn't
illusion
believe
with
Elder
just
Bai's
one
words,
sentence.
so they didn't follow
Sang's
them.
originally
Next,
somewhat
I
smug
will
mood
research a new
immediately
way to
vanished.
dispel the
It's
demonic
not
aura.
good to cut in line.
If you need anything,
Yun
you can go
Joga
find
shook his
Elder
head.
Bai and Chief
She didn't
Meng.
mind opening
They
a will be in
door.
charge of everything
After
in
all,
and out
this
of the
was
city.
an ability that she
Yun
desperately
Jyoga called
needed.
Elder Bai
But
and
illusions
Mengover.
and whatnot,
The two beast
with the
men held their
illusory
heads
realm
high
created
and
by
were
the
very
fox man.
proud. Not only
They
will
felt
it
that the
increase the
wisest
speed of the
decision in
orcs'
their
awakening,
lives was to
but it will
seek
also
refuge with
increase
Yun
the
Jyoga.
defensive ability
I will
of
leave
Cloud
the
City.
matters of Cloud
It's
City
killing
to you.
two birds with
If there's
one
anything
stone.
you don't understand,
Zi Shang
ask me.
revealed a determined
Yun
look.
Jyoga finished
All right.
speaking and left the
Yun
small
Jyoga
plaza.
was defeated
The
by
most
his
important
gaze.
thing now was to
He
find
turned to
out the
Sang
secret
and
of the
said,
golden light
"Go back
and
and
absorb
let your
it before
people rest.
Nangong you did.
Tomorrow,
Why don't you
Zhe
take
will
the
take you to the
opportunity
back
to
mountain
finally
to Wei."
prepare for the awakening?
Zi Shang didn't understand.
He felt that Yun Jyoga was wasting too much time on saving these
Yes,
beastmen.
thank you, Miss Yun.
I did a divination
Thank you,
a while
Lord Zi.
ago and found that
Ah
Li
Sang
Wei
was
is currently
overjoyed.
very safe.
He hammered his
We don't
chest
need to
and
go
left.
find him.
You're
He will
in
appear
urgent
when he
need of
needs
healing
to.
beasts.
If we
You should
carelessly
ask the
reveal his
military
whereabouts,
advisor to help
it
you
will be
filter them out.
disadvantageous to him.
Zishang said.
Yun Jyoga
I've
said.
already told him to keep an eye on them, but they're all boars,
Chapter
bearmen,
5
and
21.
Yun Jioga went through the orc tribes that had recently sought refuge with them. Zishang raised a brow.
Noticed a big problem.
They will only think that Yun Wei is here.
Leopard men or lizard?
Other than Yun Jioga
when she
and
returned
Zishang,
from Grey Castle
no one else knew that Yun Wei was Li Wei's reincarnation.
To bring Little
Don't
Blossom
underestimate
and Big Ears
the
tokens to the leopard
Yun
men
Wei
and
was
lizard
just
men.
a pill master.
Logically
but
speaking,
Li Wei was
they
her
should have
divine
reached
guard.
Cloud City.
Nangong Yu would
Ask
make a
the
wrong
military
judgment if she
advisor.
didn't know his true
Zishang
identity.
asked
This was
to
the best
inform the
protection for
military
Li Wei
advisor to come over
if Yun
immediately.
Jioga went to find
The
Li Wei
military
openly,
advisor
it would
soon
help.
arrived.
Nangong Yu said
After
a
hearing
direction.
Yun Jioga's question,
I see,
he replied,
Zishang was very confident in Yun Jioga's divination skills.
The tokens have been
Yun
successfully
Jioga and
sent to the
Zishang
leopard
came to an
men
empty
and
house
lizard men.
and Lekwa
They
and the
also
rabbit
drew a
elder
map
out
and left
He
food.
wanted to check if
The
they were
leopard
injured.
men and lizard
However,
men should be
the
able to
rabbit
reach
elder
Cloud
said
City
angrily,
smoothly.
"You lied to us.
Something must have happened
didn't.
if they haven't arrived
You should
yet.
have heard what I said
Immediately
at the square.
send 2
Hui
eagle men
didn't
to
capture
find them.
you on purpose.
You must bring them to
Yun
Cloud
Jioga
City
felt
safely.
helpless.
Yun
These
Jioga
rabbits
ordered
were
seriously.
really sensitive and
She had already
suspicious.
done a test.
The slightest
Little
movement
Blossom
could
indeed
indeed
absorb
Aze's
You said you
golden
would
light,
save our people,
but the amount was
were
too
they
little
now?
to dispel
The
the
rabbit
demonic
elder
aura.
pressed. She originally wanted to
Yun
wait for the
Jioga let
leopard
the
men
rabbit
and
leader
lizard
out.
men to awaken their golden light
Elder,
so that they could donate
the
it
2
to
old
save Little
rabbits hugged
Blossom
each other
and Big
and
Ear.
started crying.
Yes,
They
I will
didn't look
immediately
wise at all.
send Ah Fei
Miss
and
Yun,
Ping to
how's
find
they
them.
go?
I will give you an
to Yun
answer
Jioga
tonight.
and asked with
The
red
military
eyes.
advisor
When she was
immediately
captured,
recorded
she
everything
only saw
on a
a
small
goof fall
notebook
to the
that he
bottom of the
carried
cliff
with
with
him.
heavy injuries.
He had been so busy recently
fine.
that even his
He's
eidetic
recovering
memory
at
could
Eagle
not
Cliff.
cope with it.
If you want
In
to
the
see
end,
him,
it
I'll
was
get
Yun
Aze to
Jioga
send
who
you
gave
there.
him a pile of
Yun
blank
Jioga
notebooks
said while
and told
checking
him
his
to
pulse.
write everything down with a
Luckily,
pen.
Guo was very
Otherwise,
healthy
it
and
was
the baby
very
was
likely
fine.
that he would
Guo
collapse
looked at
from
the leader
overworking
and the
his
elder
brain.
hesitantly
Go.
and shook her head.
By the way,
I'll
move
go
the
see
awakening
Agu
of the
later.
boar people
The
to
elder
tomorrow
had a
afternoon.
huge misunderstanding
I will
about
first
Miss
awaken
Yun.
the foxmen
She was
tomorrow
worried
morning.
that the
Yun
elder would
Jioga
leave with
ordered.
his people
The
in a fit of
foxmen's
anger.
awakening should be
She
ranked
could
15
stay and persuade them.
What's so
Yun
special
Jioga
about them
looked
that
at
you
the
can help
rabbit
them
leader
awaken
and elder
who were
advance.
hugging each other and
The
said,
military
if you don't
advisor
want to
asked
stay,
while recording.
I won't force you.
Yeezy said that
Find
the
elder
foxman's
by if you
ability
have
to
any
create
problems.
illusions is very
Then
useful
he
to
turned
him.
and walked
It
out
can
of the
also
house.
increase the speed
You're
at
too
which
kind
the
to them.
orcs awaken.
Zishang's
So he gave them
expression was
priority.
a little displeased.
Yun Jioga
Those
explained
rabbits didn't know
briefly
what was
and
good for them,
continued.
so they
Ask
should
the
be locked
golden
up
light
and
orcs
taught
that
a
have
lesson.
recently joined
Or they
Yun
could be
City what
directly
abilities
used for
they have.
research. If they have
There are
healing
so many
abilities,
shape-shifting
they will be
orcs.
given priority.
They're not the only ones we
I
need.
got it.
But the
When
golden
Dummy
light
wakes up,
beastmen that
he'll know
joined
the
recently
secret
are
of the
very
golden
well
light.
hidden.
If the
None
rabbit
of them
tribe
are
was
willing
the
to
only
expose
answer,
their identities.
Yun Jioga would harden
They should
her heart
change their
and deal with
minds
them,
after the
but she didn't
Foxman
want to be the
tribe's
bad
matter
guy
spreads.
right now. Alright. Zishang had originally wanted to
The
secretly
military
make the
advisor
rabbit
wrote
tribe
at a
suffer a
rapid
little.
speed and
Now
added
that
a
he
few
saw
more
that Yun
details.
Jioga really didn't
Then
care
spread
about
the
it at
news
all,
about the
he
Foxmen
dispelled
more.
that thought.
Yun
Jioga
Jioga
could
came to the
actually
guest hall
understand
and
why
ordered
these
Aze,
golden light orcs
Aze,
hid their identity.
call Elder by over.
They were afraid of being chosen as
Aze
cannon fodder
nodded
and
and
even
called
more
Elder by
afraid of
over.
being captured for
Miss
research.
Yun, have
Under
you
such
rescued the rabbit
circumstances, Asang was very
Elder
bold
Bai
and
asked
confident
as soon
to
as
take
she
the
sat
initiative
down.
to promote
The
himself.
military counselor
I
had
understand.
already told her that
I will
could
immediately
transform.
get Antigaga
He really
to be
hoped
in
that
charge
Yun
of spreading
Jioga
the
could
news.
find the secret of the
After the
golden
military
light from the rabbit
advisor
tribe.
finished writing,
That
he
way
asked,
the orc race
"Do you
would
have
be saved.
any other orders?"
Yes.
But they
I
don't
don't.
know the secret
about
of
you?
the golden light.
Yun Jioga looked
We can
at
only
Zishang.
wait for Dummy to wake
I will
up to know
handle
the
the
answer.
leopard men and lizard
Yun
men
Jioga
myself.
was worried that
Tell
Elder Bai would
Afei
harm
and
the
the
rabbit
pink
to
tribe,
find me later,
so she helped them.
Zishang said.
It seems we
You want
still
to do
have
it
to
yourself?
rely on our prince.
Yun Jioga was
Elder Bai
surprised.
felt it was a pity,
The construction
but
of
for some
Cloud
reason
City was
he
in a
felt
hurry.
proud.
That's
Zishang
right,
did not
we can
even have
only
enough
rely
time
on
to
him.
sleep every day.
Yun
How could
Jioga's
he be in the
affirmation
mood
made
to care
Elder
about
Bai
these
even
things?
more proud. I suspect
By
that
the
they
way,
have been
the
kidnapped
divine
by Grey
messenger has
Castle.
already set up a secret
Zishang
base
did not
in the
care
Death
about the
Swamp
leopard
to
men
capture
and
shape-shifting
lizard
orcs
He
everywhere.
only cared about the
You must
upcoming
speed
war.
up the rescue
During this
operation.
time,
He
also
asked Ash and
send
4
people
eagle
to
men to
escort the
take
leopard
turns to
tribe and
monitor
lizard
Grey
tribe
Castle.
back. He did
Yun
not know
Jioga
whether
took
the
out
eagle
Little
men did
Flower
not have
and
good
Big Ears
eyesight or
keepsakes.
Grey Castle was
Yes. Too well hidden. Elder Bai took the information he received was that and began to think about how quiet as this dead city. This was even wanted to sneak back to observe, but he was chased by magic stone arrows. This was a mission personally issued by Yunjoga's territory. If he couldn't complete it perfectly, it would be troublesome. Under such circumstances, the disappearance of the leopard men and lizard men was a rare clue. Azay say that the rabbit tribe's leader and elder wanted to see her. Let them in. Yunjoga nodded. Chapter 5. These rabbits discussed very quickly. Do you mean that Grey Castle has another secret passage to leave the death swamp? We hope to stay in Yun City. Yunjoga asked leader and elder said respectfully to Yunjoga. Zishang nodded. Sure, that was why he wanted to arrange it for himself. Yunjoga was letting elder by whether Cloud City could against the outside world and the secret realm depended on the battle with Grey Castle. This was their reward for joining him first. What about the awakening plan? Lady Yun, Zishang did not want to take Yun and was disrespectful. She couldn't allow those beastmen to take risks. The rabbit tribe's leader said guiltily. The awakening plan is on track. It's okay without me. Then put on a look that she was not present when Centaur and Cowboy were awakened. The rabbit tribe's leader and elder glanced at each other. Don't you have the military counselor? Then, the rabbit tribe's leader looked up and said to Counselor with a smile. You asked about the origin of the golden light in our bodies. The military counselor made another note in the booklet and remembered that the ancestors left some clues. Don't be too nervous. Clues. If anything happens, raised an eyebrow. Leave it to me. These rabbits were military counselor frowning. Yun sympathized before I tell you this clue, but the more capable people did the more work. Small requests this of our kind of pressure was very important leader for his spiritual advancement. Say it. Don't worry. As long as it's not too excessive, I can fulfill it. If there's nothing else, I'll go. Yun Jyoga didn't dislike the rabbits put away the booklet as long as they didn't go overboard to leave the room. First, his figure should choose a suitable base in the city. To deliver the tribe's leader said carefully. You really want to go? You can only choose a base that hasn't been occupied. And pulled Yun Jyoga. Yun Jyoga wouldn't chase away other beastmen. Isn't it better for you to stay here and guard Cloud City? The tribe's leader said hurriedly. Why are you so nervous? All right. Yun Jyoga looked Zishang up and down and asked suspiciously. Yun Jyoga hiding something from me? Leader didn't look like an idiot. Things can I hide from you? He probably wouldn't make any ridiculous requests. Second, he was going to investigate the situation as your castle. He's the strongest warrior of our rabbit tribe and also the fastest beastman in transformation. Yun Jyoga rolled her eyes at Zishang and began to think about what to prepare. The rabbit tribe's leader spoke of and said in a negotiating tone, well, Yun Jyoga can come with me. But wait until the fox men awaken tomorrow. Lady Yun, their ability will be very useful. I thank you on behalf of the rabbit puppet orcs had been controlled by leader Senator and the foxman's illusion you only have these two controls. Yun Jyoga was very surprised. Awaken another null. These were just two small requests. Thought that jackals had even if they didn't use smell and were about the golden light, and she would still agree. With them around, it would be easier for them to find clues about Grey Castle. 522. The gnolls' heads and necks are blocked. The leader nodded. It's too difficult to expel the demonic chi. She wanted more, but greedy rabbits didn't make people like them. He didn't have much time to wait. I can give you 2 more requests. I only need to awaken one to lead the way. Yun Jyoga didn't want to take advantage of research on the golden light. Thank you for your kindness. His biggest success was extracting the leader of the rabbits was from the blood samples of the orcs. She knew Yun Jyoga was a generous person. As long as he buried it in the body of an ordinary orc, if she followed him. It would be safe for them to awaken. Now tell me what the clue is. Give it a try then, Yun Jyoga said. Zishang knew that Yun Jyoga, the leader of the rabbits, said seriously. As long as it did not affect the construction of Yunqing, he would not stop of what Little Flower had said. Cho Sen had captured the orcs and locked them in cages to drink their blood. Yun Jyoga brought Zishang to the dungeon where the gnolls were of the golden light. This place was guarded by the oxmen. Wasn't the leader of the rabbits afraid that he would controlled by the demonic chi? It's our blood. Their bodies still had the instinct to our children. As long as the oxmen fed them on time and cleaned the cells regularly. However, this method only works on our people. Zishang had his eyes on the gnoll leader, including the other group of rabbit people. Up trouble for me. The rabbit chief was gambling that Yun Jyoga wouldn't hurt them was by revealing the secret and the most difficult to expel. I need some of your blood to prove this. You were the one who asked me to pick one. Yun Jyoga didn't think the rabbits were lying, but rather than wasting time on a piece of trash. Of course, why don't you use a little more effort to awaken a capable one? No, take mine. Then I'll pick him. The rabbit elder felt that Zishang's words made sense. Walked forward. He carried the gnome leader out of the dungeon and said, immediately, if you need, a strange smell by your side and let you examine me. The oxmen only clean the dungeon, you don't have to be so nervous. Not the gnoll leader. You aren't the only orcs for so many days. It was only natural that he would Little Flower and Big Ear. Clean him up and bring him to the people to relax. Zishang ordered the oxmen in charge of the dungeon and Big Ear to have the golden light. The tall and strong secret of the golden light is deep. Together with the other gnolls on duty, and the elder they carefully scrubbed the gnoll leader and brought him to Yun Jyoga. When they heard they had after being cleaned up, the gnoll leader was quite handsome. I want the blood of all of your people and deep. I don't need too much. With his dusky eyes, one bottle is enough for each extremely sinister Yun Jyoga took out a few hundred transparent crystal bottles that were the size of a thumb. The bean-sized golden light. Remember to write the names on the bottles. There seemed to be blood flowing faintly in it. And the rabbit elder and the leader took the bottles and left respectfully. If you bring this thing after out, the two left Yun Jyoga's fight over it. They sighed in relief. Zishang took it and sniffed glad that they had survived. He found that it contained telling the light a secret of life. Like this had put a lot of pressure on them. It would increase their lifespan by 10 reaction years. Was within their expectations. Don't you know who made it? I hope we weren't wrong. But in the end, the blood of these orcs is still the best. She was a pessimist by nature, their life kind of adventure did not suit her. However,
it's a great
she had no other
supplement for
choice.
bloodthirsty
She had
demonic
just walked
cultivators.
around with the elder and was stunned by the majestic
These men
castle.
should be thankful
She
that
had just
the one
gone out
they
for a
encountered
stroll
is
with
you.
the elder and was
If it were
stunned
any
by
other
this
cultivator,
majestic castle.
they would have been concocted into
Without
blood
a doubt,
pills long
this
ago.
kind of castle would become
Truth
the
be
beastman's
told,
reliance
even
to resist
Zishang
the
felt
cold,
tempted by
hunger,
the thick
and
and
pure scent of
Currently,
blood.
the
Other
eagle men and
cultivators
nagas
can't
had
use
already
their
gained a
spiritual
foothold
power
in the
here.
castle,
They
while
will
the
only be
centaurs
torn
and
to pieces
axemen
by
had
the
arrived
orcs.
earlier than them.
If it weren't
In
for
the
the fact
future,
that she could
they would
use her
also be
divine
put
power,
in an
she would
important
have
position.
ended up in a
The
miserable
rabbit tribe
state.
was finished.
Nangong Yu
Previously,
isn't torn to
they had been
pieces.
disrespectful
Also,
to Yun
I don't know
Jioga.
what's going on
Even
with
if
the
they could
golden
stay
core
in
cultivators
Cloud City,
who came
they
in
would
through
be at
other
the
means.
bottom.
The
Zishang
rabbit
said
tribe
while
leader
squinting.
didn't want this to
Maybe
happen.
they went to a different
In order to gain a place in
us,
Cloud City,
or maybe
she
they're
took the
secretly
risk to
plotting
reveal the
something.
secret.
Let's
Yun Jioga
go.
often thought
Let's
about
choose
this
a base
question
before
but
drawing
he could
the
not
blood
think
of our
of a reason
tribesmen.
no matter how hard
The rabbit
he thought
chief
about
had
it.
already chosen to believe Yun Jioga. Thus, he
That's
did
why
not
we
think
have
too
to
much
become
about
stronger
it.
before
they
they
start
start
their
their
plot
to choose a fertile
Zishang
place
said.
to settle down.
Why do I
Then
feel like
asked
we're in
great
danger
men
to send
every
the blood
time you
samples of
analyze
all
the
their
current
clansmen
situation?
over?
Why
Put
do
it
I
there.
feel like time is tight?
Yun Jioga had already
Jioga
remodeled
looked
his
suspicious.
house. There was a row of
Zishang
wooden
must be
racks
doing
by
this
the
on
wall that
purpose.
were specially
You're
used
right.
to store blood
Hurry up
samples.
and wake this knoll
At
up.
this time,
We'll
there
leave
were
as soon
already
as
3
possible.
tubes of blood on it.
Zishang
They
patted
belonged to
Yun
Dummy,
Jioga's shoulder to
Xiaohua,
show his
and Big
encouragement.
Ear. If
The
it
men
weren't for
carefully
you,
poured
I
all
would
the
have
blood
called it a
into it,
long time
then
ago.
looked at Yun Jioga
Yun
in
Jioga
awe.
grabbed the
Miss
golden
Yun,
light blood
do you have
seed
any
and hit
other
the
orders?
knoll's left arm.
Yun
The
Jioga
knoll
was
looked
taking
like he was in
notes.
pain.
Without
A
raising
faint
his
red
head,
golden
he said,
light spread
"There's
from
nothing
his arm
else.
to his heart.
You can go down
It began
now."
to fight the demonic chi.
After
We
Demeng
can't
left,
go on like
he
this.
automatically stood
Yun
guard
Jioga
at the
looked
left
at the
door.
retreating golden
Aze,
light on the
who was
knoll's
dozing
body
off
and
to the
turned
right,
to Zishang.
saw Demeng
We
and
have
said
to get him into the
unhappily,
dungeon
"Rabbit,
to activate
go back
the
to where
illusion.
you belong after
It's
delivering
too
the
much
things.
to activate the
Don't block the way.
illusion for him alone.
This is where I should
Get
go.
Aze to get that
Demeng
foxman
looked
called
at
Aze
Aze
coldly.
to try.
The place you
Zishang
should
shook
go
his
is the
head.
rabbit house.
They had
not
brought
here.
limited spirit
Aze
stones.
raised his eyebrows
They had
and
to
made a
use them
fierce
when it
look.
mattered.
Miss
Let him
Yun has
try.
already agreed
Yun
to take me
Jioga
as a
called
guard.
Aze in
You have
and
no
asked
right
him
to
to
chase
get
me
Asang
away
as soon as possible.
Demeng raised his chin and looked at Aze with disdain. That's impossible. Only the eagle men can be Miss Yun's
Chapter
guard.
5,
You're just a
35.
male rabbit. Aze
What
came
right
to the
do you have
Foxman
to steal
tribe's
our
territory
position?
like lightning
Aze
and brought
realized
Asang
that he was
over.
being looked down
Asang
upon
didn't
by
look
a
too
rabbit.
nervous. He was
It was
furious.
as if today's accident was
within
within
his
his expectations
expectations
to get the
There was
position
no
of guard.
such thing as a free
Because
lunch.
I can defeat
He
you.
knew the test
Demeng
wouldn't be
said
this
in a
easy.
low voice.
However,
Before
when he walked
coming,
into the treatment
the chief
room
told
and saw
him
that
that
he
he didn't
standing
need to hide his
inside,
power.
he was still
He had
shocked.
to let Miss Yun
You know
see his
him?
value.
Yun
Huh.
Jioga
A
immediately
rabbit
dares
caught
to say
Asang's
that he can
expression.
defeat me?
Him,
His
Aze
name is
thought
8.
this male rabbit
He's
was
the
crazy.
leader of the Knolls.
If you don't believe me,
Asang
come
nodded
and try.
calmed down again.
Demeng
It's
showed
even
a
better that you
provocative
know each
expression.
other. If
I'll
you can
beat
help
you to
this
death.
Knoll awaken,
Your
Aze
tribe will be able
immediately
to
slapped his
successfully
wings
start
and
the
charged at
awakening plan
Demeng.
tomorrow.
His
If
fist
not,
brought
the
with it a
Foxman
sharp
tribe will
sound
leave
of wind.
Cloud City.
Demeng
Zishang
rolled on the
said
ground
calmly,
and dodged to
"I'll
the
try
side.
my best.
Little rabbit,
Asang
how
nodded
come
and
you're
looked
down
straight
before
into
I
the
even
eyes
hit
of
you?
the leader of the
Aze
Knolls.
laughed. He
Just when
shouted
he was about to
anxiously,
give Demeng a
"It's
lesson,
not good."
he felt a pain in
Lilia
his chest.
is injured. His
Come
body
and
flew
save
out
her.
involuntarily.
Yun Jioga couldn't help but raise his eyebrows
The
when he
men
heard
jumped
this.
up from the ground
It seemed
and
that
chased
Asang
after
and
Aze
not
with
only knew each
extreme
other, but
speed.
were also very
His
close.
fists landed on
When
Aze's
8 heard
body,
Asang's
pressing
voice,
him to the
a pained
ground and
expression
beating him
appeared
up.
on his face.
The orcs who
The
passed
golden
by
light
surrounded
on his
him
body
and
rose.
cheered as they watched the
8
commotion.
Lilia can't make
Aze,
it.
you can
Aren't you
only
an
save
eagleman?
her by awakening
How come
the
you're
golden
beaten up
light.
like this by
Wake
the
up,
rabbitmen?
hurry. Asang's voice was
Rabbits
getting
used to
more
be
and
the
more
food of
urgent.
eagles.
The golden
Now
light
it's the
on
other
his
way
fingers
around.
moved slightly,
Elderby
and
heard the
an
commotion
illusion
and rushed
immediately
over.
enveloped Eight's
Seeing
body.
that Aze was beaten
Lily,
black and blue,
8
he was about
squeezed
to
out
go
these
up and
3
stop
words.
him.
The
Don't
golden
move.
light on his
Yun
body
Jioga
exploded,
stopped Elderby,
and his arm turned into
She had
a
heard the
huge
commotion
claw
and
and
came
grabbed
out.
at Asang.
Miss
Yun
Yun, if you
Jioga
continue
reacted quickly
Aze
and
will go
immediately
crazy. pulled Ah Sang to the side.
That male rabbit will be in
hand
danger.
landed on the ground
Elder
and smashed a big hole.
Ah Zay
He
will
turned
go
around
crazy
and wanted to
What does
attack
that
Yun
mean?
Jioga, but he was
Yun
hit in the
Jioga's
chest
heart
by
jumped.
Zishang.
Don't think
He
that a
spat
Zay
out a
looks
mouthful
dumb
of
and
thick
easy to
gray
bully.
blood. When
Thank
he's
you,
really
Miss Yun.
angry, he's very
Ah Sang
scary.
looked at 8 on the ground
Elder
and let out a
lightheartedly
long
recounted
sigh.
Ah Zay's
Are
past.
you very close to him?
Yun Jioga asked.
Our tribes
Chapter
are very close.
523.
When we were
His
young,
parents
8
passed
often
away
took
when
us
he
to
was
play
very
together.
young, leaving his
Ah Sang
brother,
nodded.
who was 3
There was a
years
trace
younger
of
than him,
nostalgia
to
on his
depend on
charming
each other.
face.
The tribe
Who
would
is this
distribute
Lilia
food
you
to them
mentioned?
regularly, but
But
it
it
wasn't
wasn't
enough
enough
to
to
fill
get
their stomachs.
8's little
One
sister
day,
and my
Ah
fiancé
Zay saw that his brother
Ah
was very
Sang's
hungry,
expression was
so he
gloomy.
sneaked him out
Where
of
is
Eagle
she
Cliff
now?
to pick fruits.
Yun Jioga
He
did
didn't
not
expect to enter the
Ah Sang to
territory
have
of
such a
Gale Wolf
relationship with the
rabbits.
Knolls.
Gale
I
wolf
don't know.
rabbits were mutated
Asang
species.
looked confused
They
and
looked
said,
like rabbits,
a year
but were
ago,
crueler
the
and
black
more
rain
ferocious
came
than
again,
wolves.
and the Knoll
The
tribe
Gale
was
wolf
flooded
rabbit
in the
tore
lowlands.
Aze's brother apart
After the
and
entire
swallowed
tribe
him.
migrated,
At the time,
no one knew
Aze
where they
was
went.
only 10.
I've been
When he
asking
saw his
around
brother
for their
get
whereabouts,
killed, he
but
suddenly
I couldn't
went
find
crazy.
them.
Not
Not
only
only
did he
ago,
kill the
I heard
rabbits,
that the
but
lupus
he
people
also
had been
injured the
corrupted
people
by
who went to
demonic
find them.
energy and
Later
turned into
on,
puppets.
the old tribe leader
Miss
personally
Yun,
brought him
since
back.
you are willing to help aid
Elder Bai
awaken,
still had
please
lingering
save the
fear when
lupus
he
people.
talked about the past.
Asang pleaded.
Aze, who was
I
covered in
awakened
wolf
8
blood,
because there is
was
a
as
quest
scary
that
as a
requires
demon.
his ability.
Although he returned to normal after waking up, he would lose control when he saw
The
the Gale
Knolls
wolf
did
rabbit.
many bad things
He
when
would
they were
even be
controlled
very
by the
aggressive
demonic
when he
energy.
saw the rabbit race.
If he wants to save his
It
people,
wasn't until
he must
Agu's
first
rabbit
atone
companion,
for his sins.
Gua,
Appeared that
he
his
only
hostility
needed one
toward
knoll
the
to
rabbit
search for
race
clues
decreased.
about Grey Castle.
But now that he
So
was being
Yun Joga
suppressed
did
by
not want to
Demang,
waste
he
time
might very
awakening
well
other
go
Knolls.
crazy.
It would be
is
too
a
late
very
to stop him.
responsible and good
Was the
clan
golden
leader.
light the reason
What
for
happened in the
Aze's
past was
madness?
not his own intention.
Yun Joga was
As
still
long
mulling
as he is
over this
given a
problem
chance,
when he heard
he will
Zishang
definitely
say
try his
coldly,
best to make
Aze,
amends.
it was because you
Asang
were
quickly
too
put in a
useless
good
that your
word
brother
for
was
his good
killed
friend.
by the Gale wolf
It's
rabbit.
not up to you to decide
What are you
whether he
talking
will
about?
try his best or not.
Zishang was clearly
While
rubbing
Yun
salt
Joga was
on
speaking,
Aze's wound.
Zishang had
Yun
already
Joga
wanted to
ate
beat
up.
him to death.
Whereas this
Aze,
what happened?
who was waving his
shook his
fists
head
randomly,
vigorously,
his
immediately
eyes
full of
froze
confusion.
when he heard Zishang's
When he
words.
saw Asang,
Demang
his
flipped
face
away
showed
from
a
Aze.
surprised expression.
He just wanted to prove his
Asang,
power.
why are you here?
He didn't want to hurt
Didn't
others.
your tribe go to the
Aze,
other side of the
are you
grassland?
okay?
Elder Bai
that was
asked
a long
worriedly.
time ago.
Aze
What
looked
about
up.
Lilia?
His eagle
Where is she?
eyes were eerily
Asang
red.
quickly asked.
He let out a shrill
Lilia,
scream and
Lilia,
leaped toward Great Meng crazily.
frowned painfully.
Demeng
and then
blocked
his
with
face
his hand
became
but felt his
extremely
arm
ferocious.
was about to break.
He gnashed
He couldn't
his
help
teeth
but
and
said,
said, back.
"That damn
He quickly
oracle,
steadied
she lied
himself
to
and
us.
counterattacked,
I'm going to
punching
kill her."
at Aze's
As he
ribs.
spoke, he was
Aze
about to
dodged
rush
out
to
of
the
the
door
door and fought with Demeng.
Wait, tell me what happened.
Hurry up and open
What
your
did the
spirit eye
oracle
to
lie
check.
to you about?
Zishang
Yun
urged
Joga
Yun
blocked
Joga.
Eight's way.
I already opened it.
8 looked at
Yun
Yun
Joga
Joga
opened
vigilantly.
his spirit eye and
His
found
eyes
that
instantly
golden
became
light
frantic,
was like a burning
and his
flame.
arm once again
The
turned
fuel
into
was
a
his
huge
life force.
claw and slashed
Quick,
at Yun
capture
Joga.
Ze.
Yun
Calm down.
Joga said urgently,
She's your savior.
If this continued,
Asang
Ze
hurriedly
would really
rushed
go
over
crazy.
and hugged Eight's arm.
Zishang immediately
No, she
stopped
must have been
Ze.
sent by the
Ze
oracle.
struggled with all
None
his
of these
might,
humans from the
almost
outside
flipping
are
Ze
good
to
people.
see sword over.
They destroyed
Yun
our home.
Joga flicked out
I'm
his
going to
moon
kill her.
spirit threads
8
and tied
roared.
him up.
Asang
Then
talked
he
to him
quickly
first.
pricked him with
Come
needles
and find
to
me
let
when
out
you
his
figured
blood.
it out.
Ze's
Yun Joga
meridians
said
were
coldly.
blocked.
She
The
looked like
golden
she had a
light
lot of
gradually
things to do
faded,
and was
but
not
he was
interested in
unconscious.
watching an orc go
Is
crazy.
Ze okay?
Yes,
Elder
don't
Bai
worry,
quickly
Miss Yun.
came over.
I'll definitely
I'm
talk
fine.
to him. Asang pulled
I just
8
need
with
to rest
all
for
her
a few
might,
days.
and even wrapped
Yun
her tail
Joga
tightly
stood up
around
and
him.
looked at Demeng.
Yun Joga
You're
coldly
injured.
left the treatment
Do you
room
want to
with
go back
Zishang.
and rest?
As soon as
No
the door
need.
closed,
It's just
she
a
immediately
superficial
leaned
wound.
against the wall to
Demeng
eavesdrop
shook his
on
head.
what was going on
The
inside.
golden light on his body
Zishang
could
was
heal
speechless.
wounds.
He wanted to say
was
something,
strong,
but
he
Yun
didn't
Joga
deal a
stopped
fatal
him with a
injury
look.
to him.
He could only
That's
sit
good.
by the side
Yun
and
Joga
eavesdrop
took
with
Ze
her.
in to get his
In the
blood
treatment
drawn
room,
and let Elder Bai
Asang's
send
clear
him back
voice
to
rang
Eagle
out.
Cliff.
She
At this
explained the
time,
situation
Yun
of the
Joga had
Knolls,
already
Yun
received
Joga's
background
blood samples,
and the current
placed them on the
situation
wood
of
from
Cloud
Cloud
City.
The
Are you
Leopard Men
sure
race
she's
and
really
the
here to
Lizard Men
help us?
race each took
Eight's
charge.
voice also
the Eagle
gradually
Men
calmed
race
down.
had 2.
I'm not
The
sure,
Rabbit Men race
but without
had
her,
500.
we would have starved
The
to
blood
death.
samples of the
No
4
matter what
races
she
were
wants to
clearly
do with
different.
us,
As long
the
as our
Leopard
people can
Men
survive,
and Lizard Men
we can
races
only
blood
do
was a
as
little
she
gray.
says. It looked like they were
Asang's voice
slightly
was full of
infected by
helplessness.
devil chi. The
The
situation
Rabbit
in the
Men race's
arcane
blood
realm
was
was
very
already
light.
extremely
Some
bad.
of it might have been
They had
absorbed
no other
by their
choice.
bones,
You're right.
skin, and flesh.
As long as my people can
Ze's blood
survive,
was fiery
I'm willing
red.
to do anything.
This was a special characteristic of his berserk race.
Dummy
Eight's
clenched
blood
his
was the
arms
brightest.
tightly. It was
He could
golden
feel a
and
surge
warm.
of power in his
It was
body.
also the thickest
Not
of
only
all
did
the
it
blood
help him
samples.
escape from his
Yun
previous
Joga
muddle-headed
tried to
state,
put the Rabbit
but it
Men
also
race's
made him
blood together
stronger.
with the Eagle
Eight's men and the leopard men races
this
blood.
mission was
There
much
was a
better than the
violent collision
oracle who
between
only
the two.
talked and did not
In
do
the end,
anything.
they melted into a
What
pool
happened to
of
the
blood.
gnolls after the black
If their
rain?
blood is
What's the
incompatible,
matter with the
why
oracle?
did Chosun suck their
Aseng
blood?
asked. The oracle
Zishang
is a
asked.
big liar.
Maybe he's practicing
clenched
some
his
technique
teeth and
that
told
can
the whole
counteract
story.
this effect.
The black rain
Yun
came
Jioga
suddenly.
guessed. After
Looks
their
like I
tribe
still
was
have to drag him
submerged,
out of
they
Great
could only
Castle
move
and ask
higher
him.
up.
Lilia
Zishang was
rubbed his
seriously
chin.
injured while
He was thinking
protecting
about
a
how to
playful
attack
cub of her
Great
tribe
Castle.
during the migration.
First, you have
the
to get
aura
rid of the
death
death
spread
chi in
throughout her
miasma,
body,
and she was on the
Fei can
verge
help.
of death.
Second,
Just then,
you have to get
their
rid of the
tribe
puppet
met a
orcs.
woman and three
This
men
is a
who
little
came from the
troublesome,
outside world.
Yun Jioga
The woman
analyzed.
called herself the
Because
Oracle
the puppet
and
orcs
said that
were
she
not
had a way
afraid
to
of death
cure
or
Lilia's
pain.
injuries
Ordinary
caused by the
orcs
black
could
rain.
not do that.
At that time,
Great
he was
Castle should
already
have
in a
many
panic.
magic stone tools.
He could only try his
Ordinary
best and
orcs
ask
could
the
not
Oracle
resist
for help.
them.
In the current situation, we can only make the orcs awaken the golden light as soon as possible.
If we can awaken a golden light orc army, then attacking Grey Castle will not be a problem.
36.
Zishang thought for a while and said,
Asang asked nervously.
It seems that there are three ways to awaken the orcs.
After the oracle
First,
saved Lilia,
blood inheritance.
she gave us food and weapons.
Second, as well as a god stone that can make the
Third,
Gaga
life
grass
and death.
grow better.
We just have to simulate these
doing
three
well
situations
and
until
throw
Lilia
the orcs
discovered that the oracle
then
was
we can
arguing with her
harvest a
companions,
large number of
and the
golden
argument
light
was
orcs.
related to the Gaga grass.
This is just a
Not
hypothesis.
long after,
The
we
two
can't test it
companions of the
before we are
oracle
sure.
disappeared,
Yun
leaving
Jioga
behind a
glared at
gloomy
Zishang.
and cold man.
This was the key
Lilia
to
told
conquering
me
the
that the
orc
oracle
tribe.
was very
What if
strange.
they were scared away?
She told us to give
Then
up
I
on
hope you
growing
can
the
test it
Gaga
as soon
grass
as possible.
and plan our escape
Time
route.
is limited.
Not long
Cho
after,
Sen
she
and
disappeared
Nangong,
as
you will
well.
not sit still
I
and
brought
wait
my
for us
tribesmen to
catch up.
capture the oracle,
Zishang
but my
shrugged.
head suddenly
Instead
exploded.
of boasting to me
Since
here,
then,
why don't
I've
you
been
go and
searching
help
for
Elder
iron
Bai
mines
Mei.
and rabbit men.
The more orcs
When
you
I woke
gather,
up, I was
the closer
here.
we will be to
Eight
the
held
golden
his head
light.
in pain and said, "It's all my fault."
Yun Jioga said
I was
as
too
he pushed
careless to
Zishang
trust
out of
those
the door
outsiders.
to prevent him from causing
Not
trouble.
all outsiders
After driving
are evil.
Zishang out,
Miss
Yun
Yun is a
Jioga
rare
called
good
Meng
person.
over. I
Miss
believe that as
Yun,
long
what
as
can
we
I do
follow
for
her,
you?
we will be
He
able
looked
to
at
find
Yun
Lilia
Jioga
one day.
fervently.
Asang
Asang
had been
had
summoned
shoulder
many
calmly.
times, and even the
Hearing
rabbit
this,
tribe
Yun
leader
Jioga
had
whispered
come
to
once.
Zishang.
However, he had not been summoned
bad.
even once.
He's very
He was really
clear-headed.
worried that the
He's
Naga
all right.
tribe had fallen out of
Zishang
favor.
did not comment.
Meng,
Oh,
how many
right.
orcs
8
are
said that the
controlled by the
oracle was
demonic
arguing with
energy?
his companions.
Yun Jioga
Could it be
asked.
Nangong
There are
Li
10
and
now.
Bailey Moyun?
5 are
Yun
Nagas,
Jioga turned
3
and looked
are
at Zishang
centaurs,
with
and
bright
2 are
eyes.
bulls.
She knew that
Nangong
was
Li
heavy.
and Bailey Moyun
It was
were
all
not
his
in
fault
cahoots
for
with
leading his
Nangong
people
Yu.
to seek
Let's
refuge
call
with the
Aid out
oracle.
and ask him.
That was why
Zishang
his people were
had
controlled.
enough of eavesdropping.
If they had not
He
met
opened the
Yun
door
Jioga,
and called
they would have
8
ended
and
up like
Asang
the
out.
Knoll tribe.
Miss Yun,
Bring them
I
to the house at the
apologize
back
for my
of the
rudeness
mountain.
earlier. I will see if I
8
can
bowed
cure them.
deeply to Yun Jioga.
The area at the
I
back of the
forgive your
mountain had
rudeness.
been designated as a
Yun
prison
Jioga
by
nodded
reservedly.
reservedly.
Then
Yun
asked,
Jioga planned
"You
to
said that
conduct
you
his
saw the
experiment
oracle
on
and his
activating the
companions.
orc's golden
What did
light
they look
there.
like?"
I will bring them there
One
now.
woman and 3 men.
Meng turned around
They were
and
all
left.
very good looking.
Just as Yun
racked
Jioga
his
was about
brains
to
but
move
could
the
not
blood
think of
sample
any
and the wooden
adjective
frame
other
to the
than
back of the
good-looking.
mountain,
Don't
Meng
say
came in
anymore.
and reported
Just
that the
let them
military
see.
advisor of
Close
the Eagle
your
tribe
eyes
was
and try your
requesting
best
an
to
audience.
imagine what they look
Tell
like.
him to wait for me in the
Asang
guest
patted
hall.
8's shoulder.
Yun Jioga
8
put the
obediently
blood sample and
closed
the
his
wooden
eyes.
frame into his storage
However,
bag
he
and walked
frowned
out of the guest
deeply,
hall,
looking like he
Miss
had suffered
Yun,
a great deal
the
of
military
hatred.
advisor quickly
Asang
stood
placed
up
her
when he
hand
saw
on his
Yun
forehead.
Jioga.
The golden
He placed
light
his fist
flickered
on his
and turned
left
into a
chest
light
and
screen.
saluted.
Inside the light screen was a woman and 3 men. The woman was dressed
Chapter
in a sky blue
524.
magical robe. Her skin
How's your
was
injury?
fair, and her features
Yun
were
Jioga saw
picturesque.
that counselor
Her
looked
chin
fine.
was
He
exquisite
should have
and
recovered
small,
well.
and her
My
nose
injury
was
is
straight
healed
and
thanks
delicate.
to you.
The
Egu
corners
has
of her
woken up
rosy
too.
lips were
He's
slightly
with
curled
Guo in
up
the city.
as if she was smiling.
Counselor sat down.
Just looking at her
Wait
would
a
make
moment.
one feel happy. When Yun
It was
Jioga heard
Nangong
this,
Yu.
he called the Meng
Standing
in and
beside
said,
her were
"Later,
Nangong
tell
Li,
Chief
Bailey
Meng to
Moyun,
remember all
and
the
an
pregnant
enlarged
beastmen.
version of Cho
Every
Senior.
morning,
It
I will
really is
check on
them.
them in the house
Although
beside the
Yun
plaza.
Jioga had been
Then,
guessing,
I will
now
give
that he
each
saw the
pregnant woman
image,
an
he had
extra
proof.
portion of food. Memory reading.
Sir,
That's
the
a pretty
Meng
good
answered
ability.
loudly and
Yun
went
Jioga
out.
praised. Lady Yun,
Thanks for the
you only
compliment.
have the Meng as your bodyguard.
Asang smiled
I'm
shyly.
afraid it won't be enough. Why don't I send Ah Ping and Ah Fei over? At first,
The
he
military
didn't want to
advisor
reveal
asked
this ability,
carefully,
but for
No
Lilia
need.
and 8,
Zay
he
is
had to be
enough.
more useful.
Yun Jioga
Can you
shook
read
his
the
head.
content of the
She could
argument
protect
between
herself.
the oracle and his
She
companion?
didn't need so many orcs
Yun
as guards.
Jioga asked again. Zay
Let
is
me
your
try.
guard, but he lost
Asang's
control when he
fingers
was on
moved
duty.
slightly.
He failed
and
to
the
live
image
up
on
to
the
your
light
trust.
screen immediately
Counselor
changed.
lowered his head in
A
shame.
petite,
If
fair-skinned
Zay
jackal
wasn't
girl
still
appeared on the
unconscious,
light
he
screen.
would have tied him
She
up
said to
and dragged
in a
him
low
over.
voice.
They
Big
finally
brother,
got a good
I heard
position
Master
next to
Li
Lady
and
Yun
Master
because of
Moyun
the
arguing
human
with
race,
the oracle
but it was
yesterday.
ruined by
They
Zay.
said that the Gaga grass
Don't blame
is for
Zay.
pregnant women
He'll
and that
still
we
be
can't
my
do
guard
it.
when he
I
recovers.
don't feel good about
Yun
it.
Jioga said.
Let's not
I'm
plant the
afraid
Gaga
he
grass.
won't have the face to
Let's
see you.
go find Asang.
Counselor shook his
That's
head.
all 8's
Yun
memory
Jioga
of the
thought
argument.
about it and said,
How
Asang's
about
voice
this?
was tired.
I'm going to
The
set up a
golden light
personal
on
guard
his
team.
hand gradually
There will will
dim.
be 2 eagle people,
The memory reading
snake
ability
people,
consumed
rabbit
a
people,
lot of energy,
centaur people,
and he had
bull
reached
people.
his limit.
Zay will be the
Enough.
captain and Aman
Yun
will be the
Joga
vice
nodded
captain.
and said to Asang,
What do you think?
You've passed the test.
If Zay is the
Tomorrow,
captain,
bring
the
your
whole
clansmen
team will
to
fall
awaken on
apart.
time, and
Counselor
then go
showed
on a
an
mission with us.
exaggerated expression.
The military counselor
Although he
will
was
tell you the
grateful for
details of
Yunjoga's
the mission.
trust in the eagle
As for
people, Zay
Yun
was
Joga's
really
gaze fell on the
unreliable.
extremely nervous
Then let him
eight.
be the vice
He
captain.
said coldly,
Yun
if he
Joga
can complete
smiled
the
and
mission,
said,
I'll
recently
consider helping
discovered
him
some
awaken
clues that
another
might be able to
clansman.
stimulate the golden
Yes,
light in an
thank you,
orc's
Miss
body.
Yun.
Do you want to
Asang quickly
investigate it
nodded.
with me? He was very
The
clear
military
about the
advisor
current
was
situation
quite
of the
smart,
jackal
and it
people.
would be good to have him
It took
as
more
an
effort to
assistant.
awaken one than
It's
to
my
awaken
honor.
a clan.
Counselor
This
suppressed his
reward was
excitement
very
and bowed to
extravagant.
Yun-Joga.
Let's go find
Then
the
go to the
military
back
counselor
mountain and see if Meng
Yun
brought the
Joga
orcs
waved
there.
his hand and let us
Yun-Joga
sang
said,
and ate leave.
The
After
fox
the
men
military
are very
counselor left,
useful.
Yun-Joga
right?
called Amon in
Zishan
and asked
raised
him
his
to inform the
eyebrows.
Beastman patriarch
Yun-Joga
to
had
select
doubted
his
him
personal
before.
guards. Yes,
I'll go now.
your decision
The
is
Meng
always
did
right.
not know that he was about to
Yun-Joga
become the
almost
team
gave
leader.
Zishang a thumbs
He was
up to show his
overjoyed when he heard
admiration.
that he could choose another
Rest
rabbit
early.
man.
We'll set off
Yun-Joga left the
immediately
meeting
after
hall
the
and went to the
awakening
back
of the
fox
foxmen.
men. There was a large wall at the back of the mountain,
and took her to
and
rest.
inside it was a
The
low
next
gray
morning,
prison cell.
Yun-Joga
The prison
personally
had two
presided
floors,
over the
and
awakening
there were more
of the
than
foxmen.
10 small cells
The
on the
awakening
ground.
process
The
was
dungeon
very
was
smooth.
used to hold important
Unfortunately,
people. Except for
Yun-Joga
Asang,
pushed the door
the
open
other
and walked
foxmen
into the cell.
only awakened
He saw that
ordinary
Meng
illusion
and the
abilities.
military advisor
In
had
the end,
already placed the
Zishan
out-organized them
orc
into
in
a
a large
scouting
cell,
team,
which was responsible for patrolling and investigating
Among the Nagas
the
were
surrounding
Aunt Gaga
situation
and
together
four
with the
middle-aged
eagle men.
female Nagas
On
who
this
used
trip
to
to
plant
plant
the
the Gaga
castle.
grass,
Yun-Joga
the
mainly
centaurs
brought
were
the
two
members of his
antes,
guard team,
while the oxen
rabbit
were
men
two
Meng
ewes.
and Maya,
Both
the
of their
eagle men
expressions
Hoodlum
were
and
numb,
Zay, their
and
eyes
sang and
lifeless.
ate.
These
Let's
people
go
are
to the
controlled
encampment
because
of the
they have been in
leopard men
contact
and the
with the
lizard men
magic
first.
stone for a long
You
time.
guys sit on Hoodlum.
Meng briefly
Zishang
explained
asked
their
Asang
situation
and Zay to
I
turn
got it.
huge.
You can go
He
back to
and
your work.
Yun-Joga sat on Asang
Yun-Joga
while the other
waved his
orcs
hand
sat
and
on
left
Asang.
respectfully.
Then,
Miss
they
Yun,
flew to
how
the
do you plan to
encampment of
test
the
their
lizard
golden
men
light?
and leopard
The
men.
military counselor asked
Yun-Joga didn't know if
excitedly.
it was an illusion,
Based on my
but he
research,
felt that the
there are
aura
three
of
ways
death
in
for
the
orcs
secret
to
realm
awaken
was
their
getting
golden
thicker.
light.
The earth
First,
was like
it's
its
through
blood
blood
struggling at
inheritance.
death's door.
And the
Second,
skin on
it's
his
the
body
death of
was
their loved
already
ones.
dry and cracked.
Third,
It's a matter of life and death. I want to
many
simulate the
beasts
situation
lay among
and
the
see
withered
if I can
grass and
awaken them.
trees.
Their
However,
bodies were
based
covered
on the
with
information
black
she had
scars of
collected
death
so
and
far,
emitted
those
a
who
foul
could awaken
smell.
their golden
If
light
Miss
were
Yun
all
hadn't
young
built
and
Cloud
strong
City,
men.
we orcs
It would be
have ended
difficult
up
for
like
the
them.
old, weak
Asang whispered
women
to
and
Eight.
children.
Eight didn't reply,
However,
but
she
he
could
looked
only
at
try her
Yun-Joga's
best
back
in
with
this
a trace of
situation.
fear and
Miss
gratitude.
Yun, why don't you
He
let
had
me
gone
try?
to the dungeon to see
The
the rest of
military
his
counselor
people.
did not
Although
believe
their
that
minds
the
were
old,
controlled
weak
and their
women
faces
and
were
children
numb,
could
at
awaken
least they
their
were
golden
still
light.
alive and there was
You.
still hope.
The
Yun-Joga looked
encampment
at
of the
leopard
leopard
counselor.
men is over there.
He was a good seedling.
Hold tight.
The
I'm
Eagle
going to
Squad
land.
is willing to be your
Asang's
test
voice
subject.
came,
No
and then
matter
he
what
quickly
happens,
landed.
we will not complain.
Yun-Joga,
The military
Zishang,
counselor
and the others
swore
jumped
with a
off the
serious
eagle's
face.
back.
The
There were
fate of the
piles of
gnolls
rocks
had alerted
everywhere.
all the orcs.
From the smooth surface
Awakening
of the
the
rocks,
golden light
one
was the
could
only
vaguely
way out.
see that there used
He
to
was
be
willing
an
to
orc
pay
tribe
any
living
price
here.
for it.
All right,
See if
I
there are
agree
any
to your
clues.
request.
However,
Yun-Joga
let's
walked
use
around
them for
and
the
didn't
test
find
first.
anything special.
The gray gas in their
Yes.
brains is easier
Eight
to observe.
immediately bent
It
down
won't
and
be
turned
too late
into a
to use it
huge
on
jackal.
you after I find a
His
suitable
reddish-brown fur shone,
Good steel
and his
should be
gray
used
eyes
where it
emitted
matured.
a sharp light.
She would use
He
the
sniffed
military
around the
counselor
pile
as a
of rubble
test
and
subject
quickly
after the plan
identified
was
his
mature.
target.
It
He
would be
used his
best
claws
if she
to
could
dig up a
succeed in
large
one
rock
shot
and dug out
Yes.
a neatly wrapped
The
bundle from
military
underneath.
counselor nodded.
There was an animal
Then
skin
he
and an
asked
old
seriously,
stone bowl with
"What
holes
do
in
we
it.
do now?
This is left
There are
behind
no
by the
rabbit men
leopard
here,
men and
so we
lizard
can't
men.
use the
They
blood
agreed to
inheritance.
migrate together.
Let's try the
Asang
other two
said.
first.
Yun-Joga
Find out
flipped
the
through
family
things.
situation of these
Usually,
orcs first.
orcs would bury
Yun-Joga
things they
ordered.
didn't need before
The military
migrating.
counselor was
On
stunned.
one hand,
It
he
might be
asked
useful in the
nervously,
future.
Are you going
On
to
the other
kill their
hand,
relatives?
it was to hide the traces
Do I look
of their
like
lives.
such a cruel and
It seemed
stupid
that
person?
the leopard men and lizard
Yun-Joga
men
was
left
speechless.
very calmly. What did the
Eight.
military
Can you
counselor
find
think
their
of
route
her?
of departure?
The
Zishang
military
asked.
counselor nodded honestly. He was also ashamed of his sudden idea. All right, do your investigation well. Chapter
I'm going out for a while.
537.
Although
Yun-Joga
the
left
smell
the
is
back
a
of the
little
mountain
faint,
and
I can
prepared
tell
to
that
look
they
for
left
Ian
in that
Shirley
direction.
in the plantation.
Eight
The
raised his head
plantation
and
had
looked to the
expanded
west.
for a few more
Lead
miles.
the way.
The
Gray
gray
and
wall
Afei
divided
followed.
the vast and fertile
Yun-Joga and
land,
Zishang
which would be
sat
given
back
to
on
the
Azay.
orcs as their
The two
territory.
black eagles followed
Yun-Joga
behind
did
Eight.
not walk through the tunnel.
Art sprinted across
Instead,
the land,
she jumped onto
occasionally stopping to sniff at a fork in the road, then moving
She
on.
looked down from above
After
and
running
saw
for
that
about
the
an hour,
territory of the Naga
circled a
tribe
wide
had
forest
already
of
grown
dead trees
large yellow
and
grass.
retreated to a small
The
river
walls
that
were
he had
covered
just
in
passed
moss.
by. The Naga
He looked
tribe
up
had
and
built a
shouted
row
at
of
Yunjoga
wooden
and
houses
the
near
others.
the entrance.
This is where the
It was said
leopardmen
that these
disappeared.
houses were personally designed
Yun
by
Jioga
E.
looked
Shirley.
down at the dry
The
stream.
orcs lived on
It
the
was
upper
too
floors,
far and he didn't
while the
see
livestock were kept on the
Zay,
lower
go down.
floors. Then,
Now,
there
there
were
were
many
jumped
elk,
down from behind
pheasants,
goats,
and
and
landed
other
on a
wild
dry
beasts.
riverbed. These
Yun
wild
Jioga
beasts
and the
wanted
others
to escape
landed
at
too.
first. Demeng
Later,
accidentally
when they
stepped
realized
into the
that they
deep
could
black
eat and
mud.
drink here and that
When
it
he
was
jumped
safe,
out, they
his
succumbed
feet were
one
covered
by
in
one.
mud.
The large
Stay
grass
away
and
from
moss
me.
in the territory
Maya
of the
looked at
horse
the men
race
with
and the
disgust
ox race
and quickly
next door
left.
had also started to grow.
quietly
They
left
also
too.
lived in
The
stilted
mud
houses.
was too smelly.
There were also
Look
wild
here.
beasts downstairs.
Zishang pulled
They were
Yunjioga
prepared
and
to
signaled
exchange
her
them
to
with
look at the
other
grass by
races
the
in the
river.
future. There were
Moreover,
a few scattered
because they were
footprints that were
herbivores,
so
these
faint that they
wild
were
beasts
almost
were very
invisible,
tame.
heading
They
towards
were
the
much
forest
easier
of
to
dead
deal
trees
with
in
than
the
the
Naga
distance.
tribe. The
Hey, what's
territory
going on?
chosen by the rabbit men
Yunjioga
was at the
asked.
border of the other
Although
races'
the last
territories.
sign of the leopard men was
Although
in
they
the
had
forest
only
up
been
ahead,
here for 2
they
days,
actually
rows
disappeared
of
by the
stilted
river.
houses had
Said as
already
he
been
walked
built.
up to Yunjioga
They were really
and
good at
Zishang.
planting.
Why?
The large grass and moss
Yunjioga
grew
asked.
faster than the
If it
horse
were
race
me,
and the
I would
ox
never
race.
bring my people
On a
into the
sturdy
dead tree
stilted
forest.
house,
The
footprints
footprints
are
too
too
clear.
If you live here with
Someone
me,
must have
we
set
can
it
raise
up,
some wild
said.
beasts under the
Okay,
stilted house.
everyone search around
All right,
here.
I'll listen to you.
North, south,
Gu was a
east,
henpecked man.
west.
He
Pick
would
a
do
group
whatever
each.
Guer said.
Yunjioga
Then why
also
are you
wanted
still
to pick a
standing
direction,
there?
but was
Go
stopped
and
by
catch them.
Zishang.
This river seems to have
Gu's
dried up not long ago.
I'll go now.
Zishang squatted
Gu
down and
immediately
picked up the
flapped
mud
his
on the
wings
riverbed.
and left.
It was still
He turned
very
into
wet.
a small black
Could they have
dot
been
in the
attacked
sky.
while drinking here?
Yunjioga also squatted down and asked.
Chapter
Very
525.
Zishang
Yunjioga
was
at the
in an
messy footsteps
indescribably
by the
good
river
mood
and
as
said,
she looked at
"Something
this lively
unexpected
scene.
must have
She
happened
didn't
at
want to
that time.
disturb the working orcs,
Where will they be
so she
taken?"
covered herself with moon
Yunjioga
spirit
got
silk
up and looked
walked
around.
along the wall.
The vast
When she
wilderness
passed
was
by the
empty
rabbit
except
people's
for the dead
territory,
trees.
she saw the rabbit
I don't know
chief
about
walking
that.
to her stilted
Without
house
using
and
demonic
seemed to be
power
watering
and
it.
divine abilities,
Yunjioga
even he
took
would
a
have a
closer
hard
look
time
and realized
finding
that
the
the
missing
land was
leopard men
planted
and
with
lizard
carrots.
men.
After
About
the
half
black
an
rain
incens's
disaster,
time later,
countless
Azay
edible
and
plants
Afei
died,
flapped their
leaving
wings
only
and came
the
back to
strong
report.
wild grass.
Miss Yun,
Now,
the east
only
side
the
is the
rabbit people
wilderness.
grew carrots
The
in
end
the
of the
entire
wilderness
cloud
might
city.
be a cliff.
She
or
felt
it
that it
might
was
be the death
necessary to
swamp.
study it.
If we want to investigate
Yunjioga
clearly,
jumped off the
we will
wall
need
and
to fly
removed
for
her
at
disguise.
least 2 days.
She pretended
Then,
to casually
Demeng
walk
and Maya
past the
returned.
rabbit people's gate.
The west side
Miss
is
Yun,
also
why are
in
you
the
here?
wilderness. Come in and
We
sit.
didn't find any
We saw
movement
her
from the
and
leopard men
immediately
or the
came out
lizard men.
excitedly.
Then
The
Eight
rabbit
and
chief,
Aseng
who
also
had just
came
finished
back,
watering,
came out and invited Yunjioga to visit. The other busy rabbit
Seeing
people
Yunjioga's
also hurried
questioning
over
gaze,
and looked at her with
Aseng shook his
respect
head
and
helplessly
admiration
and said,
"How
"We
are you
didn't
guys
find
living
anything
here?"
here either."
Yunjioga
That leaves
smiled
the
and
dead
walked
tree
into the
forest.
rabbit people's territory.
Yunjioga looked at the
It's very
forest
good here.
shrouded in black
Thank you
mist.
for giving us such
Miss
a safe
Yun,
territory.
I'm very sure that they
the rabbit
disappeared
elder
near
was
this river.
happy from the bottom
Eight
of her
still
heart.
insisted on his
After
opinion.
the black rain disaster,
You three
they hadn't
teams will
felt
change
safe and
directions
relaxed
like
like
this
this
for
for
a
a
long
long time.
Yeezy
and
That's
I
good.
will go check the
You
forest.
guys go ahead.
Since someone
I'll just
pushed
have a
the
chat
clues
with the
to
chief.
the dead tree forest,
Yun
there
Joga
should be some
waved
traces
her hand
left
and
behind.
let the rabbit people
Yunjioga
continue
said.
with their work.
Miss Yun,
the dead
this
tree
way,
forest
please.
is too dangerous.
The rabbit chief
Maya
thought
and I
that
should go
Yunjioga
check.
was looking for her,
Demeng
so she led
quickly
her to
stopped
her
her.
stilted house.
No need.
The chief's
Compared
stilted
to
house
these
was in the
beastmen,
corner of the
Yunjioga
territory.
trusted her own
Other
eyes
than a
more.
bunch of dried
Miss
green
Yun,
carrot
we
leaves
are your
hanging at the
guards.
door.
If
If there's
there's
no
danger,
different from
we
the
should
other
be the
rabbit
first to
people's
go.
stilted houses,
Demeng
said anxiously.
Yunjioga didn't
The
go
other
upstairs.
beastmen nodded. She walked
Yunjioga
directly
had
to the
become the
first floor.
savior of the
The
entire
rabbit chief
beastmen
hurriedly
race.
followed and
If
smiled.
anything happened to
This
her,
place
the
is dirty
entire
and
guard
broken.
team would be too
There's
ashamed
nothing
to
to go
see
back
here.
and see their people.
Really?
You stay
I
here
think
and
it's
help
good that
Eight
you're
plant
planting
carrots here.
This is an
Yunjioga
order.
said with a smile.
Yunjioga's
The rabbit
face turned
chief was
serious.
stunned.
Guards
She's
being
smiled
too
calmly.
loyal was also
I
a
really
problem.
can't hide
Demeng's
anything from you.
ears were about to
These
stand
carrots
up.
are planted
He was
for the
about to say
cubs of the
something,
tribe to
but
eat.
Maya stopped
However,
him and shook her
they've
head.
just been planted.
Before entering
It'll
the
take
guard
at least
team,
a month
the
for them to
advisor
grow.
gave all the
If they're
beastmen a
successful,
lesson.
I'll send some
He
over for
only
you to try.
emphasized one thing.
How did
They
you
must
plant
listen
them?
to Miss Yun and
Yunjioga
Master
asked
Yizi.
casually. If they couldn't
Just
do it,
plant it
they should
casually.
leave. The land
Miss
here
Yun,
is alive,
Master Yizi,
so it should be able
at least
to
let me
succeed.
carry you over.
The rabbit elder said.
Azay said.
Yunjioga
No
took a
need,
whiff
we'll be back
and
soon.
immediately frowned.
Yunjioga felt
used
helpless
blood to
seeing how
plant
the sky
carrots?
was about to
The
fall
rabbit
on
tribe
Zay
leader
and the
was
rest of the
stunned,
orcs.
unable to
It
reply
seemed
for
that
a
she had
long
been
time.
too focused on her
I noticed
research
that
that
she
she became
became
your
a weak
territory
chicken
are
in
growing
front of the
very
beastmen.
well. Don't tell me you guys had to show them her power when she had the chance. Yun-jyoga looked straight into the eyes of the rabbit tribe leader. Pulled Yun-jyoga and disappeared from their sight. Laughed bitterly and said, later, they arrived at the dead tree forest. Clues. How can we treat our blood as rain and scatter it everywhere? These traces do seem intentional. Newborn babies can only eat at the paw print on the tree. Have you always used blood to plant the leopard? Let's go in and see. No, it's because we couldn't grow carrots anymore after the black rain, so we used blood to grow them. The black leaves floated with a faint black gas. What about before the black rain disaster? The Yun-jyoga continued leopard race was very clear. At that time, there were clues as we watered them on time. The carrots would grow towards the center of the forest. That was why the rabbit chief hated the black rain disaster. Do we still go? How about this? Yun-jyoga looked at the arrow.
Open up
The black
2 more
gas, there
plots
was
like
a
land
whirlpool.
to plant carrots.
Of course we have to.
One plot will be
know
watered
yourself
on time
and
like
know
before,
your enemy,
and the
and
other
you will
plot
never
will
be
watered
defeated
with your
in 100
feces.
battles.
Yun
We need
Joga
to
wanted
find
to
out
do a
what kind
test
of
to
cards
see if there
chose
was
Sen
any
and
difference
Nangong
between
you
the
have.
carrots grown on the
After
3
saying
plots
that,
of land.
Black Scales
Won't it be
immediately
very
covered his
dirty to
entire
use
body.
feces on the
He
ground?
then led the way.
The rabbit chief
Yun
looked
Joga
hesitant.
only took 2
She did
steps
not
behind
understand
him
when
when
she
she
felt
felt
something
something
heavy under her
Animal
feet.
feces
A
are the
gray
best
vine
nutrients
grabbed
for
her
the
ankle
land.
and pulled her
Yun
into the
Joga
forest.
saw the rabbit chief's confused expression, so he told her the method of
Zi
fermenting
Shang turned
feces.
and stomped on
Then
the vine,
he encouraged
protecting Yun Joga
Try it.
behind him.
You'll
The
discover
dead
a
trees
new
in the
world.
forest started to
All right,
boil.
I'll let my
The
tribesmen
dead
try
trees
it later.
swarmed toward them
The
like
rabbit
sharks
chief
that had
nodded
smelled
seriously.
blood.
Countless
She could
tree
sense that
vines
the
attacked
method
them.
Yun Joga gave
Open
them
your
was
spirit
very
eye
important.
and find the tree core.
As a reward,
I'll
Shang
give you these
carried Yun
cabbage
Joga
seeds.
and moved left
You can try
and right.
planting them when
He
you have the
punched the
time.
trees in front of
Yun
him.
Joga took out the
However,
most
there were
common
more and more
cabbage
trees
seeds in the mortal
Even
realm
if they
from
were
his storage
broken,
bag.
they would regrow.
He had randomly collected
There was
them
no
in
time
Thunder
to
Nation
stop.
and placed
Yun
them
Joga
inside.
opened his
These
spiritual
cabbages
eye to
were
search
easy to
around
plant
and
and
finally
had a
found
high
a ball
yield.
that was flickering
Once
with
they were
gray
planted,
light that was
they would be
constantly
good
moving
food.
around.
It
Thank
was
you, Miss Yun.
undoubtedly the dead
The
tree's
rabbit
heart.
chief took the seeds
There.
respectfully
Yun
and
Joga
immediately
flicked
felt
her
that she
moon
was
spirit
valued.
thread to the gray
She became
orb.
more friendly
Zi
to
Shang
brother
turned
Yun
into a
Joga.
snake tail
Don't
and
let
whipped in that
anyone know
direction.
about the blood-bread
All the dead
carrots.
trees in front
Do
of
you
him turned to
understand?
dust.
Yun Joga
warned
used her
sternly.
moon spirit
If the
thread
carrots
to
produced
wrap
by
around
the
the gray
rabbit
blood
orb
had any
just when she
special
was about
effects,
to crush
then
it,
these
she
rabbits
heard a
must be
terrified
protected.
cry.
Otherwise,
Don't
it would
kill
be
me.
troublesome. Don't worry, Miss Yun. Only you know about this method. The rabbit chief was not a fool. This carrot
Chapter
field was a
5,
secret
38.
even in her tribe.
What the hell is
No
this?
one knew about it
Yun
except the
Joga
elders.
looked at the gray eyeball
That's
that was
good.
tightly
Take
wrapped
care of
by
yourself.
moon spirit
Your
threads.
tribesmen still
Its
need you.
blood-red pupil
Yun
and
Joga
bloodshot
looked at the
eye
white
wife
marks
made him
hidden under the
uncomfortable.
hide of the
This
rabbit
is
elder.
a demon.
He
Zi
admired
Shang
her
took the eyeball
selfless
and
spirit.
asked, "Where
The
did you
rabbit
come
chief
from?"
smiled.
Please,
She was
I've
very
been here
grateful
since I was
for
born,
Yun
okay?
Joga's concern.
But where did you
After
invaders
Yun
come
Joga
from?
left under the
Why are you
enthusiastic
destroying
gaze
my
of the
home?
rabbit people,
The eyeball
he went to look for
complained,
Shirley.
as if it was an innocent
Shirley
victim.
was still building
These
a wall
dead
with
trees
his wife
only
and child.
appeared after the black
Fei
rain.
Fei,
How
who was
did you
beside
stay
him,
here all this
was
time?
working hard to
Zi
turn a dead
Shang
land
sneered.
into a living land.
I was born in this
Ever
dead
since Zi
forest
Shang
after the
took
black
Fei
rain.
Fei away on the day
Of course
he built
I've been
the
here
city,
all this
this
time,
little black
the
and white
eyeball said
butterfly had been
disdainfully.
working diligently.
You can be even
It
more
had
arrogant.
already become a divine
Zi
beast in
Shang
the
pinched
hearts of
the
the eyeball
orcs.
with his fingers, causing the blood vessels
They
on the
worshipped
eyeball
it
to
as
burst
much as
out.
she did.
Ouch,
Master,
gentler, look at how
gentler.
much living
You're
land
hurting
I've
me.
made. The eyeball
Fei
shrieked.
Fei flapped her
Trust
wings
me,
and flew
I can
over
make
when
it
she
hurt
saw
even
Yun
more.
Joga.
She
Zi
looked very
Shang's lips
proud.
curled up.
Good job.
His gaze cruel.
Yun
Don't be
Joga
like
patted
this.
Fei Fei's head
Keeping me around is
encouragingly
good
and
for
fed
you.
her a few
The
cherry
eyeball
pills.
shouted in panic.
Fei Fei
What
swallowed
good
the
can you
cherry
do?
pill and went back to
Yun
work
Joga
eagerly.
raised an eyebrow.
She felt a sense of
I
mission
know
now.
everything.
Opening
The
up a
eyeball said
living
proudly.
land meant more food.
Then can you tell me
If
where
she
the
gave
black
it to the
rain
orcs,
in this
she
hidden
could
realm
save
came
many
from?
lives.
Miss
The
Yun,
eyeball
why are you
froze.
here?
Then can you
Shirley
tell me how to
walked
dispel
over
the
after he
demonic
finished
chi
the
and
last
restore
brick?
the hidden
His
realm's
wife
vitality?
and child continued
Yun
working
Joga
on the
asked
same
again.
spot.
I
No,
want you
I
to help me
can't.
create
The
an
eyeball
illusion.
suddenly
Yun
felt
Joga
so
said
useless.
straightforwardly.
Then what's
The
the
amount
point
of
of keeping you
Yin Yang
around?
chi I have is
Yun
enough to build a
Joga
wall.
stared at the eyeball's
I'm afraid
red
I
pupil
can't create an
emotionlessly.
illusion.
Wait,
Yin Shirley
did you come here to
frowned.
find those
He had been
stupid
oppressed
leopards
by
and
Zi
lizards?
Shang for the past
I know
few
where
days.
they are.
He was
I can
about to
take you
puke
there.
from building
The
a wall.
eyeball hurriedly
I'll
shouted.
build a formation first.
Zi Shang and
You
Yun
just have to
Joga
inject
looked at each
some
other.
Yin Yang chi
Then
into
tell
it.
me, where are
It
they?
won't take much effort.
Yun Joga asked.
Yun Joga couldn't
Those
bear to
stupid
part
leopards
with her
and
divine
lizards are
power.
locked in the river
She could
up
only
ahead.
look for Yin
I'll
Shirley.
take you there now,
All right.
but you have to let go
Yin
of me
Shirley
first.
was just grumbling.
The eyeball
He
blinked
didn't
its
forget
gray
that
white
Fan
eyelids.
Yin had given him
I'll
a mission.
use moon spirit
He had to
threads
listen
to
to
tie it
all
up.
of Yun Joga's orders.
Yun Joga weaved the moon spirit threads into a gray-white net and wrapped it around the eyeball.
Chapter 5:26.
What is this? It's
Then
so
let's go
disgusting.
now. Where are they? The eyeball shook
Yun
left
Joga
and
looked
right,
at the two
trying
figures,
to break free
one
from the
big
net.
and one small.
No matter how disgusting
for
it
me.
is,
It's still better than
walked
you.
over to Yun
I'm warning
Jioga
you,
after
behave
putting
yourself,
away his wife
or else
and
I'll
child
suck you
in the
dry.
corpse refinement bag.
Although Yun Jioga
Fei
hadn't
lets
used
go.
the devouring ability
Yun
of the
Jioga
moon
waved
spirit
at Little
threads,
Butterfly.
she didn't mind
I'm
trying
not
it out on
going,
this eyeball.
I'm not done yet.
I've always been honest.
Fei focused on converting the death
innocent
energy
monster
without
like
looking
me.
at Yun Jioga.
The eyeball's
No
eyes
one is
were
guarding
wet,
you,
as if it
you
was
can't
about
come
to
out
cry.
by yourself.
Shut up.
Yun
You're
Jioga
disgusting.
personally grabbed its little
Yun
wings
Jioga
and
was
threatened
getting
it
goosebumps.
sternly. Be
All
careful
right.
not to be taken
The
away
eyeball
and turned
immediately
into a fried
returned to its
butterfly.
original state after
I'm
failing
so
to
cute.
act pitifully.
Who would want to fry
and
me?
obediently flew
Fei
forward.
muttered.
Yun
But it still
Jioga and
landed on Yun
Zhang
Jioga's
followed the
shoulder
eyeball out of the
obediently.
forest.
Your
They
master
saw
is
Azay,
right.
Demeng,
You're the most
and the
precious
other
thing
orcs
in the
waiting
entire
anxiously
mystic realm.
outside.
If
What are you guys
Chosen
doing
and the
here?
rest discover your existence,
They'll definitely capture you at all costs.
Have you finished
Ever
searching
since
the river?
Ian Shirley found
Yoon
out that
Jyoga
Fei
asked.
Fei was the Yin
I've
Yang
already
reincarnation
searched, but I didn't
butterfly.
find
He
anything.
admired
Maybe I
Yoon Jyoga's
guessed wrong.
boldness. He was
lowered his
actually
head in
willing to let
frustration.
such a precious
He
thing
was
work
scolded
without
by
fear
Sang
of
for
being
being
robbed.
too impulsive.
Master
He
won't let
actually
me be
caused
captured.
Lady Yun and
Fei
Master
Fei
Yi
retorted
to
indignantly.
personally enter the forest to check.
It silently shrunk
No,
its
you're
body.
not wrong.
Don't
The
scare
wercats
it.
and lizard
Yoon
men have
Jyoga
indeed
stuffed another
disappeared
two
from the
cherry
river.
pills into
This
Fei
thing will
Fei's
help
hands
us
to
find
prevent
them.
it from abandoning
Yoon
its
Jyoga
task.
pulled the string in
The
her
two
hand,
returned to
and
the
the eyeball
eyeball
that
that
was
was flying
flying
high
high
in the sky.
The
was
military
pulled down by
counselor
her.
had already gone
What
to
is
find
this
Meng to
disgusting
understand
thing?
the situation.
Aze was shocked.
The 10 dumbfounded
Is this an
beastmen
eyeball?
were still
Oh my
locked up in
God,
their
it's
cells.
alive.
You
You
can
set up
move
the
and
illusion
fly.
for them?
The
Shocked
shocked Shirley
orcs
raised
all
his
came over.
eyebrows. Maya
This
even
was
wanted to
overkill.
touch the eyeball. Not for
Go
them,
away, you
for the
stupid
beastmen.
orcs.
Yoon
I'm a
Jyoga
great
brought
and noble
Shirley
monster.
down the stairs
I'm
to
not
the
someone you
underground
lowly
prison.
beings can
The
dream
underground prison
The
was
eyeball
dark
flew
and
up
gloomy.
proudly and looked
There was
down
no
at the
light
orcs.
at all.
It
also
emitted a
glanced at
damp,
Yoon Jyoga
moldy,
and
and
Zishang.
cold aura.
Great
Yoon
my ass.
Jyoga lit a
Take us to
torch
the
and
leopard
stuck it
people.
on the wall.
Yoon Jyoga
Then
shook the
he took
moon
out a
spirit
threads
stone and
the
started
eyeball
setting up a
spun.
formation.
Stop
You
bullshitting.
know the
I'll
nine
take you there
hells
now.
transformation
The
in
eyeball
illusion
flew into the river
Ian
and
Shirley
circled
widened
around
his
the mud
eyes in
Meng
shock.
fell into before
This
saying,
illusion had been
"It's here."
circulating among the
We've
evil
checked this
sects
place
for a
many
long
times.
time.
There's
Even he had
nothing
not
but
had the
mud.
chance to see it.
Its feet were
He did
covered
not
in mud
expect it
from
to
when he
appear
went into the
Yoon
river.
Jyoga. What's
Stupid
wrong with
orcs,
that?
back
Do you
off.
think my title
The
of goddess
eyeball
is fake? And shot a
Yoon
dark
Jyoga
red beam
dipped
at the
the
bottom of the
cinnabar
river
in and drew on the
the bottom
spirit
of the
stone.
river, which was
Runes
full of
with
silt,
mysterious
rumbled,
powers
and
appeared
then
on
a
the
big
spirit
black hole
stone.
appeared. She was
Gusts
too
of
lazy
chilly
to use her
wind
brain
drifted
when
out from
Zishang
it.
was around.
The
But
people
that
you're
did not
looking
mean
for
that
are
she was
inside.
brainless. Go in. After being
The
a goddess
eyeball
for
said,
so many years,
"There's
there was
indeed the
nothing in
smell
the
of
world
leopard
that she
people
didn't
and lizard
understand.
men inside."
It was just
Eight
that those
nodded
memories
with a
had been
serious
sealed away by
expression.
her and would
Take
only
us
be
in.
rummaged through
Yoon
when needed.
Jyoga pulled the eyeball.
Are you really a goddess?
Okay, follow me.
Although
The
Ian
eyeball
Shirley had
moved
already
and floated
guessed Yoon
inside.
Jyoga's identity,
He was
Sang
still
and
very
Zay walked in
surprised
front.
to hear her admit
Yoon
it.
Jyoga and Zishang in the
Didn't
middle,
Fanny
and
tell
Maya,
you about me?
Meng, and
Yoon
Afei
Jyoga
brought up the
chatted
rear.
with Ian Shirley
Yoon
as he
Jyoga
drew.
followed the eyeball
Master
and found that there were
has
all
never
kinds of
mentioned your
complicated
identity.
tunnels under the river. The gray stone
However,
walls looked
to
very
be
sturdy
valued by him,
and it was obvious
I feel that you
someone
are
had
not an
carefully
ordinary
built them.
person.
Ian
Looks
Shirley
like this
replied
is the
cautiously.
secret tunnel of Grey
In
Castle.
reality, the
Zishang
first time he
touched
met
the
Yoon
wall
Jyoga
and asked
he
Yoon
was
Jyoga,
very
"Open
disappointed.
your spirit eye
Yoon
and see
Jyoga was
what's over
simply
there."
too weak. Yoon
The only
Jyoga
thing
opened
that
her
stood out
spirit
about
eye
him
and
was
saw
his purple
countless figures
sword.
glowing with gray
After
light
Yoon
in the
Jyoga
tunnel
joined
not
the
far
Yin
away.
Corpse sect,
They were
he had
walking
been
toward
secretly
Cloud
observing
City
to see if Yoon
Their
Jyoga
attacking
was
Cloud
hiding
City.
anything.
Yoon
After
Jyoga
that,
knew that
Ink
Grey
Flower,
Castle would
White
attack,
Bones,
but she
and
didn't
Chosen
expect
worked
it to be
together
today.
to force Yoon Jyoga.
You guys
but
leave
Yoon
immediately
Jyoga still
and return
focused
to
on
Cloud
escaping.
City.
He was
Zishang
so
said
disappointed
coldly.
that he even
I'll
suspected
stay
that
and
Fan
destroy
Yin
these
had been
tunnels.
deceived.
But now,
Yoon Jyoga
Shirley
was about to
finally
turn around,
understood that
but
Yoon
she was
Jyoga's
tied up
strength
by a
wasn't
gray
due to her
vine.
martial strength.
Countless vines
Instead,
shot out from
it
the
was
tunnel
due to
and
her
drowned her like a
inexplicable
gray
strength
ocean.
that made people
Yoon
believe in her.
Jyoga's vision was
Reality
filled with gray
proved that she
vines.
was always right. I wasn't ordinary in the past, but I can't
She
anymore.
pulled back her moon spirit
You still
thread
have to
and
rely
found
on
that there was
yourselves
only
to
an
save
empty
this world.
shell of an eyeball.
Yoon Jyoga placed
you
the spirit
idiot
stones
stones
on
on
Ian
trap.
Shirley's palm
I
and
have
said,
countless
"Use your
doppelgangers.
yin yang chi
There's
to
no
carve
way
the
you can
spirit
trap me.
stones according to the rune
Obediently
patterns.
accept your death
I
and
will
watch
teach you how to
Cloud
place
City
them
be
later."
destroyed.
The
Okay.
eyeball
Ian
laughed
Shirley
arrogantly,
replied
and the surging
impatiently
gray
and started
vines
to analyze
tied
the
Yoon
rune
Jyoga
patterns
tightly.
seriously.
She was about to
After
use
he
her
was
divine
done,
power
these
to break
rune
free
patterns
when the
were
cute
also
baby's
carved in
voice
his
suddenly
mind.
appeared. Next,
Master,
Yoon Jyoga
Master,
taught him how to bury these
what's wrong?
spirit stones
Yoon
deep into the
Jyoga
ground
sank into the
according to the
demonic
position
cauldron
of
and
the
saw
nine
the
nether
cute
formation.
baby's little
It's
chubby
done.
face pulling
You
the
can go back
confused
and build your
demonic
wall
embryo
now.
grass.
Yoon Jyoga clapped her hands and prepared to leave. Lady Yun, actually, those walls aren't that urgent. I can
Chapter
stay by your side
539.
and continue working. This stupid eyeball
Ian
is
Shirley
so
learned
arrogant.
the nine nether
Why don't you let
transformation
Xiao Qiao
in
out to catch
illusory
it?
formation
Did you
and
forget
realized
about
that he
Xiao
had a
Chao
better
again?
future by
The
staying
baby
by
said
Yun Jioga's
unhappily.
side.
Who said
Are
I
you
forgot
sure you're
about
not
it?
in a hurry?
I'm about to let it out.
Yun Jioga turned to look at Yin Shirley and said with a faint smile,
Wait for Zi
Yun
Shang to
Jioga
tell me
looked at the
that.
innocent Xiao Chao. After a while,
I'll go back and build the wall
had
now.
grown taller.
Yin Shirley
She was
couldn't
already
help
the
but
size
tremble
of a
when he heard
3-year-old.
Zi Shang's name.
The baby knitted
That
a green
despicable
cloak
fiendish
for him.
demon wanted to
Finally,
squeeze his
he wasn't
bone
naked
marrow
anymore.
dry.
If he
Of course,
found out that he
Xiao
was
Chao
slacking
is a
off,
demonic
he would be
fetus.
finished. She's born
Take
to
Fei
restrain
away.
all kinds
Remember
of
to
demons.
look after it. The baby
Yun
raised
Jioga
his chin
placed
proudly
Fei
as
on
if Yin
Xiao
Shirley was
shoulder.
born by him.
Transforming
Xiao
the
Chao,
deathly
are
aura
you sure
was
you
what
can
the
do
little
it?
butterfly
Yun
should be doing.
Jioga ignored the baby's
Don't worry.
bragging and looked
Even
at
if I
Xiao
lose
Chao.
my wife and
Chill,
child,
catch.
I won't lose it.
The baby grinned,
This was
revealing
definitely
two
the
white
heaviest
teeth
oath
the size of
Shirley
rice
had ever
grains.
made.
Go!
Don't be nervous.
Yun Jioga
You just
released
have to look
Xiao
after
Chao
it
from
and
the
don't let
demonic
it run
tripod.
around. The gray
Yun-Jyoga
vines that
still
were
believed
attacking
in
Yun-Jyoga suddenly
Moreover,
trembled. They turned and ran as if they saw
itself.
something terrifying.
It was just that one more
Chiu-Chiu
person
don't
meant
run.
one more safety.
Black mist floated
Not long
around
after
Xiao Qiao.
Shirley left with
She
Fei
ran
Fei,
toward the
the
floating
military
eyeball with her
counselor,
short
and a
legs.
Meng hurried over.
The brat,
Behind
go
them
away.
were the Eagle Man,
The eyeball screamed
Fei,
and
and
flew
an
toward the
unfamiliar
exit.
female rabbit
Catch.
person.
Xiao
Sir,
Qiao stretched
elder
out
by
her meaty
recommended
claws
and
and
Fei
grabbed
to
at
be
the
your
sky.
guard. The
The
military
eyeball was
counselor said.
immediately
All
fixed
right.
by an invisible magic. It struggled with all its might. Its eyes were even bursting with blood vessels, but it still didn't move. Chiu-Chiu. Xiao Qiao stood on her tiptoes and plucked the eyeball. She rubbed it in her hands as if she had gotten a new toy. Save me, the eyeball begged for mercy. Don't you have countless clones? Run again. Yun-Jyoga broke free from the gray vines and took the eyeball from Xiao Qiao's hands. He pinched it hard. King, have mercy. The eyeball begged pitifully. Actually, I'm just a clone. It was destroyed just now. Remove these vines immediately and release my companions, Yun-Jyoga ordered fiercely. Yes. The eyeball removed the sea of gray vines as quickly as possible. Zhe and the others fell to the ground, but they didn't see Zishang. Where did the other one go? Yun-Jyoga asked the eyeball. I don't know. He disappeared just now. His eyeballs moved left and right as if he was shaking his head. Miss Yun, Master Yizi went out from the side tunnel. He wants you to take us away. He's in charge of destroying the tunnel. Zhe got up dizzily. When did he tell you? Yun-Jyoga asked. Just before the branches came out. As soon as he said that, there was a rumbling sound in the distance. Debris kept falling from the tunnel. Run, that madman blew up the passage. We'll all be buried here, the eyeball screamed. Xiao Qiao, hold on to it tightly. Everyone hurry up and leave this place. Yun-Jyoga threw the eyeball back to Xiao Qiao and then ran towards the exit with the orcs. Please take me back, I don't want to stay with the naughty kid, eyeball screamed. Yun-Jyoga couldn't be bothered with it. He raised his hand and used his moon spirit threads to block the falling rocks. He finally rushed out of the tunnel before it collapsed. Oh my, Miss Yun, look over there. Zhe used his wings to point at the wasteland in the distance. The black ground kept collapsing, as if there was a monster rolling around under it, ready to come out at any time. Let's go back to Cloud City first. Yun-Jyoga could feel that the monster's presence was Zishang. Since Zishang wanted them to go back to Cloud City, then he could handle it. Zhe and Fei turned into black eagles again and carried everyone back to Cloud City. Yun-Jyoga sat on Zhe's back with Xiao Qiao in his arms. He watched as the eyeball shivered in Xiao Cao's palm. Please take me away from here. The eyeball looked at Yun-Jyoga pitifully. This time, it was really crying. Why are you so afraid of Xiao Qiao? Have you seen it before? Yun-Jyoga found it unbelievable. All demon babies are black. Fear flashed through the eyeball's red pupils. It muttered to itself like a psychopath, they will never get tired of stabbing you with needles, burning you with fire, scalding you with boiling water, and throwing you into a group of demon rats to watch you get bitten to pieces. Tisk. Yun-Jyoga frowned. He felt his eyes start to hurt. I'll promise you anything as long as you don't leave me behind. The eyeball cried like a good girl who fell into a demon's den. That depends on your performance. Yun-Jyoga laughed inwardly. He didn't expect the naughty kid to have such power. I'll do my best. The eyeball shook up and down excitedly. Xiao Qiao reached out and flicked it with a smile, as if she was playing with a roly-poly toy. Be good, Xiao. We'll play later. Yun-Jyoga moved Xiao Cao's finger away and asked the eyeball, You said you appeared after the black rain. Is that true? No, I'm actually a magic ball specially trained by Lady Nangong Yu for missions. She has trained a total of 300 magic balls. They are scattered in the dead forest to ambush the orc tribes. After we catch the orcs, we send them to Lord Chosen of Grey Castle to make puppets to attack Cloud City. The eyeball immediately explained in detail. What's Nangong Yu's real identity? Why does she train monsters? The eyeball in front of him was full of intelligence. It was comparable to a high-level monster. It wasn't something an ordinary person could train, not even 1,000 killers. That guy only knew how to fight and kill. It couldn't do such a delicate job. I don't know what Nangong Yu's real identity is. After I was trained, I was thrown into the dead forest. She only gives us missions through the magic pool, the eyeball answered honestly. What's the magic pool? Yun Jioga asked again. It's the place where we were born. Nangong Yu can observe our situation through the magic pool and control our life and death. The eyeball saw the strange look on Yun Jioga's face and hurriedly added, however, an accident happened when I was born. Nangong Yu had already lost control over me. That's why I'm so smart and adorable. What happened when you were born? Yun Jioga asked curiously. I don't know. I don't have that kind of memory. But I know I'm different, the eyeball said with a hint of pride. I can see that. Such a strange personality was indeed not something an ordinary monster could have. Really? You're really my confidant. I heard those stupid orcs call you Lady Yun. Can I call you that too? As long as you don't leave me with this naughty kid, I'm willing to swear loyalty to you. The eyeball blinked, trying to make itself look more sincere. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.